Sport.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Room to steady and finish.
It's close to the goal line and Marty good there. Another one.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
Rampy from 55 can ride it all the way home. Huge fend off and kicks the goal. The skipper off a step finishes.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Right foot strike. He's got it. Oh, the home fans like that. Takes a bounce. Unguarded. Goal square. He's got it. Reed's going to go for goal. Oh, my goodness. That truly is remarkable.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
A top four battle with 4 rounds to go. Collingwood have brought back the cavalry with the reigning premiers Brisbane looking to bounce back after an uncharacteristic shocker against the Gold Coast Suns last week. It's a time where the marathon becomes a sprint as we preview September and shape what's to come. It's the last 2 premiers, Collingwood and the Brisbane Lions from the MCG. Hello, welcome to Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch with you as the crowd is expected to be just under 80,000 tonight. And the Magpies, who have lost 2 of their last 3, have Scott Pendlebury, Jordan Ngoe and Bobby Hill making their return, in which Bobby Hill will be the sub for the Magpies tonight, while for the Brisbane Lions, they also have some change in personnel with Henry Smith coming in for his first game of the season. Bruce Revell also comes back in for Connor McKenna and Oscar McInerney. The scene is set for what's to come tonight. Joel Peterson to call the action alongside me. Welcome to you, Joel.
G'day, Clinchy. These are the kind of nights that you're just privileged to be here at the footy. The most 2 recent premiers, as you said, second and third on the ladder. Collingwood with the chance to go back to top if they win. Brisbane trying to keep their hopes of a home final in that first week alive, and a crowd of just around that 80,000 mark. So win, lose, draw, whichever side of the fence you sit this evening, it's going to be a very cool evening at the footy, and hopefully we get something like what we got last night at the Adelaide Oval, which was a rollicking old affair between the Crows and the Hawks. If we get anything like that tonight, we'll be in for something very, very special.
That is the bar we're looking for between these 2 sides as to who might take the mantle as the premiership favourites in the remainder of the 2025 season. You're in 2 good hands, men who know what it's like to have the pressures of the coaching box. He is an Australian Football Hall of Fame member, the 300 gamer from the Saints. Nathan Burke, welcome to you.
Hello, Clinchy. Hello, Joel. Yeah, fascinating. Great night for football, isn't it, out there? Beautiful, big crowd, 2 top teams. It's all set up for an absolute ripper.
And alongside Berkey, 162 games with the Hawks and the Blues, coach of the Blues in the AFLW. Daniel Harford, welcome to you.
Clinchy, Joel, Nathan, good evening to you. Nice to be here at the MCG because, as you say, this should be an absolute corker, and we've had some rubbish dished up, especially today. So we're trying to just crank it up and really build to the Saturday night crescendo, and I'm all for it.
So take us inside the coach's box. What's it like when you come into a game like this? Chris Fagan has said that was uncharacteristically not like us last week for the Brisbane Lions, and we don't normally dish that up. And that'll be the challenge tonight. Everyone comes with that intrigue of curiosity as to what sort of response will the Brisbane Lions give tonight.
Well, I think it'll be pretty physical. That's my take on it, because we heard Chris Fagan through one of his press conferences through the week, so that's not us, as you said, Clinchy. And then he said, gee, I hope it's not. As if to say, it better not want to be. So I reckon there's been a fair pointed message from the coach and the coaching staff for Brisbane to their boys tonight about what's expected in terms of the contest. They were comprehensively outplayed by the Suns last week, as we know, but it is unusual to see that happen to a team like Brisbane, certainly to that margin and that result. So I would expect a fair response from them. The problem is they come up against a team that loves playing this venue, loves playing big occasions, and has some superstars back in the team. So that's the challenge. Although the Pies, Berkey, have been a little bit off their tucker the last couple of weeks. 2 out of the last 3 they've lost. So it's not exactly gone smoothly for them either.
No, but those losses have been 1 point and 6 points.
Yes.
So they've been competitive in those games. A bit of an easy one last week against the Tigers when they shook them off. But any team that can bring Pendlebury back in and who else is coming to go? He's coming back in.
Bobby Hill.
And then you put Bobby Hill, who you make a sub.
Norm Smith medalist against this opposition.
Yeah, so you sort of say, hey, you know what, Bobby, we don't really need you out there, mate. We'll keep you in glass case and break it if we need to put you on the field. So that's a pretty good outfit where you can afford to do that.
Craig McRae used the analogy that it was like the Tour de France, that you can get out in front and eventually the pelotons start to reel you in. And for Collingwood, their season starts again. They're now almost at September, where everyone starts at 0-0. From his point of view, it feels like bringing in a couple of those key players to return. Righto, let's get cracking. Time to get back to our best.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge for them. It's the challenge for Brisbane too. It's the last month of the season, and all action stations from here on in. That's what we talk about through the middle of the year. It's getting through the middle of the year. It's getting through July and surviving and being in a position where you can really launch in the back end. And both of these two clubs have done that. They're both the premiers for the last 2 years, these two teams. So they know exactly what this phase of the season is like, Berkey, and it's time to ramp things up.
It is, and you're also looking a little bit further down the track at that first spot, third spot, second spot. Who do you play in the finals? Do you get a home final?
Yeah.
At the moment, we've got Adelaide sitting on top with a percentage of 144. Obviously, the Pies win tonight; they go back up on top. So, getting those home finals, you've got to keep an eye on that because it's so important.
Both these sides have great family bloodlines. The Dacos family, of course, with Josh and Nick featuring. Nick once more, one of the favourites for the Brownlow medal, and just a lazy 3 goals last week as he starts to churn towards his best form. And Will and Levi Ashcroft, as their legacy continues to grow. Of course, the sons of 3-time Premiership Brisbane Lion player Marcus, and a Norm Smith medalist already for Will. So what impact do you think the Stars are going to have, if it's any, I guess, indication as to what we saw last night in that match between Hawthorn and Adelaide?
Well, the thing about the Stars from these two teams is they're pretty consistent. They've got a high standard, and the gap between their best and their worst isn't that significant. So I think it's more for me, Clinchy, it's more about what the support cast do tonight as opposed to the Stars. I reckon the Stars will do what they do, and they've been so good at that and carrying their teams through that journey. But it's more about the guys on the edges, and I throw Jordy De Goey into that tonight for the Magpies. I mean, I was talking to some people sort of on the fringes of the Collingwood through the week who thought that he might need another game in the VFL. So having seen Bobby Hill being announced as the sub, I thought maybe they're going to play him. They'll play him as the sub. Jordy De Goey as the sub. So we'll see how he goes. Then it's about Crisp, and it's about Hoskin Elliott, and it's Membry and Schultz and those sort of guys that are really good players and have had really strong years. But they're the ones tonight which I think have to stand up and be able to match the intensity of, particularly for Collingwood fans' perspective, this Brisbane Lions outfit.
The people down at St Kilda have contacted me and said this game is actually called the Compromise Draft Cup. And I've got to keep referring it to that throughout the night just to get the point across.
I guess...
Even to Andrew Bassett, if you're listening.
Yes, cheerio. Of course, the Nasiah Wanganeen Miller, a winner last week, and Saints fans are still looking for that equalisation across the competition. As you touched on, the other part from a Collingwood part, which has been the curiosity, is there's so many players in their 30s now, is the contract situation. And Brody Myercheck, by all reports, has been offered a 1-year deal. He's looking for 1+1, and so the club are in a bit of a stalemate at the moment. So how do you make sure that individual stuff doesn't distract from the bigger picture and what they're trying to build towards?
You'd hope that a premiership and the opportunity of a premiership would supersede any form of, I want an extra year. That extra years are great and fantastic, but you know what, Brody, if you actually absolutely guide this forward line through the finals, get right to the pointy end, come home with a bit of silverware, well, you know what, even if you don't get that extra year, you get it somewhere else and you've got a premiership. So, if you're sitting around about the middle of the table, well, then, it can probably play on your mind, but these guys are playing for something enormous.
And Darcy Cameron is the other fascinating one in that situation, isn't he? Sort of playing for unders. He's been such a valuable pickup for them, especially defensively, sort of behind the ball as that intercept drop-off player behind the footy. But tonight he gets a look, so no Oscar McInerney, who wasn't in the best of form for the Lions. He comes out of that team managed. Young Henry Smith comes in for his first game of the season, just his 5th game of his career, and then Darcy Fort, the journeyman, who plays his 50th game tonight. So how that sort of centre of the ground with the rucks plays out, and whether Darcy Cameron can just keep ticking that value over, is another sort of fascinating plot into this evening.
Yeah, and you do wonder how much that plays into their psyche too. Okay, well, I haven't been given the deal that I'm overly wrapped with at the moment, so do they rate me? I'll show these blokes. Or is it, well, they don't rate me, so I'll just go around and do my thing. So that's the psyche of the competitive animal, I suppose, what you're banking on there from a coaching perspective, to make sure that they do go out there and try and show you and dominate and say, well, this is what I'm worth. How about you give us a price that's appropriate. But you're right, I mean, that's a fascinating development or match up through the ground. I reckon the ruck and the midfield brigade on the back of that, because Smith, good luck walking into this cauldron. 5 games into your career. 80,000 at the G Saturday night.
And only played 6 in the VFL this season.
Yeah, so he hasn't played a lot of footy at all. So good luck with that. Big Darcy Ford's going to require a fairly manful performance from him for the Brisbane Lions, or they're going to have to get really active at ground level and make sure they can minimise the impact of the Magpie mids.
If you want to join us throughout the night, 0437 774 774. Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford, your experts on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson to call the action with Poppy Penny down on the boundary. The Demons 83-point winners over the West Coast Eagles. A 10-3 third quarter. The biggest win under Simon Goodwin so far this season. Their biggest score of 2025 as well. Max Gawn got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year. The Gold Coast Suns move up to 5th. They're just behind Geelong on the ladder, of course, with that game still to come. Their 13th win of the season. They prevailed by 84 points over the Tigers, who managed just 2 goals for the match. And the Swans 14-point winners over the Bombers at the SCG. 9-14-68 to the Bombers, 7-12-54. And the big news throughout the afternoon has been the horror injury run for Will Day. Unfortunately, his season has come to an end. A bone stress injury, and they're unsure as to whether he will require surgery. So he's played the last 2 games against Adelaide and Carlton after missing since round 3 against the Giants. And the Hawks are in that challenge half of trying to get there in September. They've got a couple of tough runs in terms of opponents to come, and he has been such a barometer for them.
Yeah, well, these 2 teams, Brisbane and Collingwood, still to come for them, plus the D's in the middle of all of that. So a huge challenge, I would think. Watching the impact he had early when he was fit last night and last week as well. Will Day is the most important player in Hawthorn's team, and without him, they won't be able to make the final. I reckon they miss from here.
Yeah, I think the Western Bulldogs clap hands on the way past.
Yeah.
One goes up, one comes down.
And what a big win that was for the Doggies back on Thursday night.
But it's probably
Giants.
Probably a bigger conversation than that. We might do it after the game, but it's now a career watch for Will Day. This is not a problem you want to have recur and try and get back from and then have it go again. That's a really negative outcome, not only clearly for this season for him and the Hawks, but as a career perspective. These injuries, we've had players who never come back, and he's gone out there and done it again. It's a real watch for the Hawks.
So the navicular bone issue with the foot for Will Day unfortunately reoccurs, and his season has done. The Brisbane Lions have just made their way out onto the middle of the MCG. Darcy Fort playing in his 50th game, and Bruce Reville will be the sub for the Lions tonight. Bobby Hill for the Magpies, as half touched on. Jordan De Goey, Bobby Hill, both featured in the VFL last week against Frankston. Bobby Hill kicked 3 goals, but he is the sub tonight. And Jordan De Goey in his first game since round 3. So it is a round 8, I should say, with that Achilles injury and then the concussion at training. So the 19 disposals in that VFL hit out.
They say a week's a long time in footy. Last Saturday night for Jordan De Goey and Bobby Hill, they're playing VFL down at Frankston City Oval under the lights, and this week it's 80,000 at the G, so that's quite the change.
Don't run down Frankston, Joel. It's quite an impressive place to play football.
It is it's a nice facility there by the Bay, Berkey, down in your part of the world.
It is.
You can hear the Magpies about to make their way out onto the MCG. They've won the last 4 clashes between they and the Brisbane Lions, including the grand final in 2023 and by 52 points at the Gabba back in round 6.
It was really interesting to hear Chris Fagan really aware of that this week in his press conference too, Clinchy. Referenced it, and they've made mention throughout the season of these hoodoos that they just keep ticking off. They haven't beaten Collingwood here since 2014 at the MCG, and he said there's one more thing that we still have to do. So that's a little carrot for them as well.
I made note of that too. It was a significant mention, I reckon.
Unprompted.
And again,
he dove into it.
And coming off the back of last week, they'd be searching for little things as a coach. You're searching for little markers along the way to try and get your players to give them another element of focus. And I reckon that's a really good one for the Brisbane Lions to be able to come in. Don't worry about what it means globally and from a bigger perspective from the season. Let's just tick a box. We've never done this. And in my reign, we've never done this. So let's do something about it tonight.
I'm fascinated what they do with Dunkley. I think of something outside the box. Who's ever run with Pendlebury lately? Dunkley could go with him, run off him, cut him down. He's such an important player, the way he just trots up and down the middle of that ground. It's interesting. Or do they just go full on head to head?
Well, I think Pendlebury's not the guy that's really dominating games. He's such a great creator. And do you want to have someone out of your midfield who's just going to stop elements of creativity, moments of creativity? He does that as good as, if not better than anyone in the competition. We know that. But do you want to lock someone out on the back of that, or do you?
No, I just run with him.
Work off him.
Run with him and work off him. He's not known for the other side, he's not going to be chasing guys.
No.
Normally he's got the ball in his hand. But Dunkley's the sort of guy, if Dunkley can push forward whenever he can, just got on the end of a couple. We know he's a good grab and can kick a goal. So probably won't do it, but that's why I'm sitting up here and not in the coach's box.
But they're the conversations, Perky, as you well know, that they would have had through the week, and the what-if meetings and the match committee meetings about, okay, what are we going to do with this? Because he's such a quality player himself as an offensive weapon. Dunkley's not just that run with play, he can do so many things. So do you sacrifice that element of his game to take something away from the opposition, which is what you're always trying to do, or do you go head-to-head and find another layer? I mean, how do you play Nick Dacos? Do you give him as much ball as you like behind centre and make sure he doesn't get forward as a midfielder anyway and hit the scoreboard, or lace players out inside forward 50 because he's so good at that? They're the dynamics that coaches are always looking at through the week.
On the SMS 0437 774 774. Mark from Upway says, don't forget Frankston won over Collingwood last week. They did.
They smacked them.
And also Mark wondering, in Officer, is Lockie Schultz playing tonight or injured? He is out there tonight, Lockie Schultz, for his 11th game of the season. Are the Brisbane Lions trying to fill that hole in which Joe Danaher has left from their premiership? Logan Morris leads the way with 34 goals for the season. Eric Hipwood with 24, Zach Bailey with 27. Last year they had, I think, 9 players who averaged a goal a game. With Joe Danaher out in front with a couple of goals, and now they're trying to get that right balance inside their forward 50. How crucial will that be tonight to kicking a winning score?
Yeah, I reckon it's pretty important. And the way you do it too, Burke, is what I'm interested in, because the last thing you want to do against the Pies is kick it long to their numbers, to their extras coming across, the third man in, the fourth man in, whatever it might be. You don't want to do that against the Magpies, so you've got to find separation from their defenders. So it's not necessarily quick ball movement, although that's certainly not a bad thing. You've got to try and isolate the Collingwood defenders. So if they just keep kicking to extra numbers for the Pies tonight, it doesn't matter who's in their forward line. It could be Gordon Coventry, Tony Lockett. Wouldn't matter. They're still going to come back out.
The Pies are wearing their retro jumper tonight. It's still black and white. Poppy Penny, the Dacos legacy. Where do we find you, Poppy?
You find me in a box sitting next to the one and only Peter Dacos. Peter, your boys are going pretty well this season, in season 2025. At what point do you go from being the legendary Peter Dacos, dad of Josh and Nick, to being Josh and Nick's dad, Peter Dacos?
Well, that's the norm, Poppy. Look, no, and that sits fine with me. No, I think it's, I've said it many times, it's a boys' time. So, yeah, no, look, we're all here to support them, and that suits me fine.
What do you make of the seasons that they're having? Josh had that incredible game, or incredible final quarter against the Gold Coast a couple of weeks ago, and Nick last week, phenomenal. How do you go watching them?
Oh, look, I think the worst part about it is you're up here in the stands and you can't support. So they're left to their own devices. And look, I'm quite comfortable. I think they've got a good awareness of what's around them. So. And I think if you ask me how they're going, I think it's all underpinned on how the club's going. So the club is on top of the ladder. I mean, Nick last year was, possession-wise was fantastic. The team didn't make the 8. So, this year he's still having I think he's having a huge impact, and the team's sitting and is underpinned by not just Nick and Josh, but what everyone's doing out there by their actions.
What do you make, particularly of Nick's season? There's a lot of chat around, can anyone catch him for the Brownlow? Have you spoken to him much about what the Monday night before grand final night might entail for him?
Never, honestly. We don't talk about it because, firstly, I don't want to add another layer to any pressure or any expectation. I mean, expectation was high in the last couple of seasons. Again, umpires are voting, so other people are involved, and if you ask me how the boys are going, I'd say they're best on ground every week. But naturally, that's a biased opinion. So in the end, that's the least we worry about. I mean, first and foremost, having played the game, and at Collingwood. I want the boys to play finals, and I know the boys are really determined to play in another grand final.
What are you like as a footy watcher? Are you a fan first, or are you a dad first? No, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. I'm a dad, and I sort of watch the boys off the ball.
But it's interesting. I mean, people get to see a snapshot of me if the boys do something, and I'm clearly get a little bit excited. But they, you know, if you were to beam up to me when Collingwood kicked a goal, I do that all the time. So because I know that if we're so much closer to winning the game, I mean, we're so much closer to playing off in finals, so much closer to, you know, grand final. So again, I go back to the ex-player sort of focus. So yeah, for me, it's all about playing off as a team and playing off in finals.
We're pretty close to the bounce of the ball, so I'll let you go in just a tick. You're probably the most popular man in this area. Lots of people in the crowd turning around to give you a smile and a wave. Who do you reckon's going to win tonight? Do you think they can get it done?
Oh, I think so. There's so much at stake. I mean, we're talking top two here. I mean, let alone, you know, I mean, both teams are entrenched and will play finals. Let's say that. I mean, you know, the top four is still, you know, still line ball. They still have to probably win two of the next X amount of games to probably cement their top two spot. And that's what it's all about, breaking it down. You don't want to be travelling interstate. You want to be playing on your park. So I think there's so much in this game, especially with considering how the lines went last week. So, you know, and we over the last 3 weeks, we've dropped two of the games. So, yeah, there's a lot at stake.
Peter Dacos, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the footy.
Thank you, Poppy.
Poppy Penny there with the legendary Peter Dacos watching from the MCG. Half and Berkey, what a proud occasion it is for him every time he gets to watch his sons continue their family legacy.
Well, Berkey knows what it's like, watching offspring do the thing in the colours that they wore. It must be an amazing feeling. And Dakes was my all-time hero. So I love hearing Peter Dacos speak. I love the whole retro round thing and the Spices paper jumper back in the old days, 1990. I'd like to know where that jumper is with Dakes, where his premiership jumper is. I'd like to know where that is when he kicked the 97 goals for that season, which was quite unbelievable for a bloke of his size.
How do you think Nick Dacos is going this season? Berkey, is he the Brownlow favourite in your eyes?
Absolutely. He's definitely up there. The amount of footy that he gets, the way that he carries the ball, the way he gets 2 or 3 possessions in a chain, they're all things that just draw the umpire's eye to them. With Collingwood winning a lot of games, he's absolutely going to be up there again.
And the numbers say that earlier in the year he was winning the ball, but his use wasn't necessarily where it has been.
I don't think umpires look at that.
The last 6 weeks, he is not only starting to clearly still influence the umpires, but the damage is really coming into his game.
Yeah, so that's probably going to get him MVP votes from the coaches. Both things will get him probably votes from the umpires.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what you do with it.
Averaging 30 disposals and a goal. Nick Dacos across his last 5 weeks, including 3 goals last week against the Tigers. The two captains have made their way out into the middle. Lachie Neale alongside Darcy Moore, and Lachie Neale has won the coin toss. And the Brisbane Lions will head to the punt road end in this opening quarter. All right, Daniel Harford, Nathan Burke. Who wins tonight, second versus third, and why?
I think Brisbane win, and the most important player out there is Zach Bailey. When early in the year, when he wasn't getting near it, wasn't getting a kick, Brisbane looked ordinary. The second half of the year where he's coming to his own, he's starting to be that second major target down there. He's probably more important than Eric Hipwood. I just think Collingwood, the way that they defend, give those sort of blokes too much room. Midfield's going to be fairly even, but that is going to get the Lions across the line.
I'm on the opposite side of that. I think the Magpies will be too good. The venue certainly helps from that perspective. They play this venue magnificently. They'll have the full support of the crowd, but I just think the way that they'll be able to control tempo of the game tonight might be the difference between the two teams, and get the ball inside their forward half, and their forward pressure, which has been elite, will be the difference in the game. So I'm on the Magpies by about 11 points, Clinchy.
What about for you, Joel?
With no great rhyme or reason, Collingwood, Clinchy.
Out the Pies as well, and you and I have our work cut out tonight. You're going to keep us across the netball. The Vixens taking on the West Coast Fever.
Yep.
Come on. Across town here in Melbourne, and I'll keep an eye on the Wallabies taking on the British and Irish Lions, which gets underway in about 25 minutes or so's time. Chris Fagan is on the bench. He's ready to go. Bobby Hill, the sub for the Magpies tonight, and Bruce Reville for the Brisbane Lions. As the countdown is taking place on the big screen, we're inside the final 10 seconds before we're all in readiness. The last 2 premiers, second versus third, a high-stakes affair to shape who finishes on top and what's to come in September. It's Collingwood and Brisbane on ABC Sport. Here's Joel Peterson.
Two genuine heavyweights in a post-season prelude. And the Brownlow medal favourite stands alongside the two-time winner of that honour in Neil and Dacos. Opening clearance to McCluggage and the Lions. Kicks up toward half forward. Hipwood crashes out. Ball ricochets into the arms of Nick Dacos, who sends it wide for Schultz. Up at left half forward, carves his kick back through the middle, just misses Pendlebury, slips outside his left hand, falls into the lap of Rayner for Brisbane in the centre square. He bounces it out in front of the interchange gates. It'll sit for Charlie Cameron, darts the kick on the diagonal infield. Hipwood presents and marks, marshals them to come at him, kicks inside the 50, and it's an easy pick off in the end. Perryman's back there for the Magpies and cuts off the Lions' first foray forward.
It's a horrible entry. Had 3 targets. He kicked it to the fourth one, which is a Magpie.
Perryman at right half back, kicks it long up the wing. Underneath it, Wilmot didn't take the mark, and now Harris Andrews has to slide in. Knocks it out to Wilmot, hand pass to Dunkley. McCluggage run down. Brodie Myercheck got him from behind. Collingwood take the advantage through Nick Dacos. Inside 50, Will Hoskin-Elliott streaming forward. Takes the mark in the right forward pocket, 45 metres out from goal.
Smart play by Hoskin-Elliott. He saw that the free kick was going to go to the Collingwood player and just took off. He was the fastest one to actually mentally know what was going on. He knew that Dacos had the footy. He's probably going to play on. Shot inside 50, gets himself a shot at goal.
Will Hoskin-Elliott, 12 goals of the season. He comes in and fires on goal. It's across the face to the left-hand side and thumped through by Darcy Fort for a minor score. Collingwood with the first behind through 90 seconds. Dan McStay and Jordan De Goey starting on the bench.
Zorko was living dangerously with the kick in. It was a slips catch from Wilmot to lunge across and take it above the turf. And now it's in the safe hands of Berry inside defensive 50 for the Lions. Kicks up the members' side. Quaynor rises over the top of Leicester, belts it out of play into the green seats. And it'll be tossed back in. Massive crowd here at the MCG. 80,000 expected. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Joel Peterson and Matt Clinch calling the action for you. Nathan Burke, Daniel Harford, your experts, and Poppy Penny on the boundary from the stoppage. Nick Dacos waltzes away, runs through right half forward, centering kicks, a dangerous run. Schultz had the support from Membry. Pirouettes in the air as he pulls it into his chest. 35 metres out directly in front.
Well, it was a great kick back into the corridor, but how can you leave Nick Dacos free at a boundary stop? He's sitting all by himself. It's a defensive nightmare for the Brisbane Lions midfield. Just sitting at the back waiting for it. They had an extra number at the contest. The Brisbane Lions were drawn to that extra number, and they left the best player in the competition by himself. Let's sort that out.
Grew up playing in Magpies colours across the border in Moama. Talk about upside. This man's got plenty of it for this Magpies team, and he punches through the first of the night, much to the delight of the home fans. 1-1-7 Collingwood. Brisbane yet to score. 3 played in the opening term.
Yeah, we'll go back to this stoppage on the wing here. It was actually Lachie Neale who was standing next to Nick Dacos at the stoppage. He got sucked into the play. Didn't affect that particular play. The ball went over his head to Nick Dacos, and yeah, you get that young fella running inside 50. Well, he's going to find a target. It was a 2-on-1 in the end, and Lachie Schultz, excellent work over the top, taking that grab. But Lachie Neale, you can't afford to be all one way at those stoppages because you'll get burnt like that.
Nathan Burke alongside Daniel Harford, your experts. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson calling the action. Poppy Penny's in the front row. Poppy, what's the atmosphere like?
It's absolutely electric down here, although it was a little bit warmer where I was up talking to Peter Dacos a moment ago, but it's absolutely packed.
Thanks, Poppy. Darcy Fort wins down the tab against Darcy Cameron. Dunkley soccers it out onto the members' wing. Jack Crisp picks it up off the deck for Collingwood. Switches it out to the Shane Warne stand side. Pinpoint pass to Seal side bottom, who waits for the leads to come, and it's Schultz once more. He's 55 metres out from home, though, out to the left. As Membry is the deepest forward. Will Hoskin-Elliott there as well. Side bottom floats around the back. Schultz ignores that. Drives it long towards the goal square in the direction of Elliott. Spawned away by Harris Andrews of the Lions, and Lachie Neale onto it. Quick 1-2 with Zach Bailey. Neale kicks out towards Archie, who with arms out in front takes the mark against Isaac Quaynor.
Kicked 4 here against Hawthorn earlier in the season. Cal Archie. He galloped away from the defensive 50. Eventually just whacks it long up the line. Hipwood the rise. Darcy Cameron was there. He was quickly tackled by both Hipwood and Big Henry Smith on the AFL logo on the southern side. It'll be tossed aloft. Lights fully ablaze here at the MCG. Saturday night footy. Taking it away from the stoppage is Long. It's so good for Collingwood this season. Kick inside the forward 50 is a scrappy one. Leicester's up to meet it. Starcevic comes across. Battles with Hoskin Elliott, who touched it last. It sort of ricochets off both of them. Umpire says toss it in, and will do so 60 metres out at right half forward in front of the members. Collingwood 1-1. Brisbane yet to score. We've played 5 in the opening term.
Darcy Moore alongside Logan Morris. Henry Smith, first game of 2025. Charlie Dean is his opponent inside 50. Maynard has Hipwood. Thrown back in. Fort knocked it down to the front. Pendlebury left it behind. Lockie Neal gathers for the Brisbane Lions. 1-2 with Dunkley. Back to Berry. One way then the other. Got around Long. Kicks it up the wing. In front position. Smith brings it down. Kalachi couldn't take it cleanly. Knocks it onto Hipwood though, who's dragged down by Maynard and got one over the shoulder. And Eric Hipwood will take the free kick in front of the two benches. Just a little slow to get to his feet.
Interesting matchup, that one you mentioned, Clinchy, with Maynard. They're responsible for Hipwood at the moment. You would have thought Darcy Moore's a natural size matchup.
Chips it over the top to McCluggage, who veers out to the right, trying to find the right angle. He pokes the kick to Darcy Ford. Lunging to his left. He takes the mark. He wants to give it off to Will Ashcroft, and it's a good option. He marks on a slightly tighter angle, on a 45-degree angle, but he is a better set shot. And he is 40 metres out from goal, shooting for the Brisbane Lions, first of the night.
He's just come straight off the bench, Ashcroft. Both of them started on the bench and ran past for 2 or 3 handball receives, didn't get them, kept running, fresh legs. Let's hope he's fresh kicking boots as well after sitting on the bench for 10 minutes.
The Norm Smith medalist Will Ashcroft starts his approach from 40 metres out. He misses to the right-hand side. And the chance goes begging for the Brisbane Lions. Collingwood 1-1-7, Brisbane 1 behind. 7 minutes gone, opening terms, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Josh Dacos spins the yellow Sheeran in his hands before he makes his move. Kicks out to the broadcast side. McStay is up. Former teammate Andrews belts it away from him. Falls into the lap of Hipwood. Handball hugging the boundary line. Saw Marshall escort it across. It'll be tossed back in left half forward for the Lions. Boundary umpire Sam Stagg gets ready to fire the ball back into play. Shallow throwing. The two Darcys, Cameron and Fort, come across to it. Cameron had the better of it, but the Lions get the kick inside forward 50. Morris fights for the footy. Moore's right there with him. Left forward pocket for the Lions. Sharp hands from Morris. Got it off to Smith. Kick was smothered well by Lipinski. Picked up by Houston. Handball defensively now to Josh Dacos. Spins his way inside the defensive 50. Exiting kicks a beauty. And Schultz presents to mark at halfback for Collingwood.
He's having a great influence early. Schultz coming out for disposal number 4.
Kicked the opening goal of the match. Brisbane with 27 disposals to Collingwood's 15. Schultz up the wing towards McStay and Cameron. Neither can take the mark. Socket forward by Lipinski. Lockie Neal goes racing after it for Brisbane. Gathers between wing and half back on the member side. Kicks inboard to Fletcher. Knocked away at the last moment. Brought down by Long. Nick Dacos couldn't gather. Lipinski can. Rayner lays a tackle on him. Then wins the footy. Hand pass to Fletcher for the Lions. Away to McCluggage. And then the run of Wilmot, who looks up to the 50. Charlie Cameron's on the move. He marks in front of Maynard. He has it at right half forward. Morris looks to lead to the pocket. Can he get it over Dean? He reaches up, can't take the mark. Logan Morris spills out, and in the end it's rushed through. And Lockie Schultz getting back into defence, is doing it at both ends. Through for a minor score for the Brisbane Lions. They're 2 behinds. Collingwood 1-1-7. Opening 8 minutes here at the MCG, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's a couple of times they've opened the game up. It's got the ball to the open side of the ground from where they were, the Lions.
Poor kick in from Josh Dacos, picked off by Charlie Cameron, puts it back into the pocket and finds Morris. That was a gift. And Logan Morris marks 10 metres out, 5 in from the boundary in the right forward pocket.
Yeah, kick out from the goal from the behind, just went over the top of the Collingwood player. The other players didn't actually recover fast enough. Let Logan Morris all by himself.
Just the 2 kicks last week for Logan Morris, didn't score a goal. Been a real breakout season for him, and it continues here as he gets Brisbane's first of the ball game and hands the Lions a 1-point lead. 1-8. Collingwood 1-1-7. 9.5 minutes played. Opening terms Saturday night on ABC Sport. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford.
It's probably reward for a good 5 minutes of dominance there from Brisbane Lions. What they're doing is they're stopping the ball around the middle of the ground and sending it back in time and time again. But we know that the Brisbane Lions players like to play attacking, like to win that ball in the front half, pushing high up the ground. We've seen Dacos hit a beautiful kick outside 50, but then had nothing to go to. Collingwood are trying to use their feet on the way through. At the moment, they've had 16 kicks and only 4 handballs. So they're not really running in numbers. They're trying to use their feet to kick on through. But Brisbane are squashing that ground up, kicking that ball, repeat entries inside 50. And in the end, it was just a mistake from Collingwood that was capitalised.
Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. Fort wins down the tap against Cameron. Got it to McCluggage. Hand pass back to Fort. Drives Brisbane inside 50. From the back, Logan Morris juggles the mark on the third bite. An imposing mark as he started at the back of the pack and comes down with the footy in his hands. Wedged in between Darcy Moore and Charlie Dean.
He was probably the least likely to mark that one from the position that he was in, but you launch yourself with the footy, go wholehearted, or you make things happen.
You've got to fuel the hot hand. Having kicked the last goal of the match, 35 goals of the season, the Brisbane Lions have taken the lead, now looking to capitalise. Logan Morris starts his approach, 25 metres out, directly in front for 2 quick goals. He sends it through into the Brisbane cheer squad. The Lions with 2 goals in 2 minutes to open up a 7-point advantage, both at the hands of Logan Morris. 2-2-14 to Collingwood 1-1-7. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, the clearance numbers looking okay. Obviously, that's a clean centre bounce break, and Darcy Fort got back involved. I love to see that when the Rucks stay around the contest. They hunt the footy for a couple of seconds after they get that initial contest over with their opposing ruckman. He was the one who launched that ball inside forward 50, and it was a 2-on-2 for the Magpies, so for the Brisbane Lions. So it separated and got their half forwards up towards the contest as it was coming out. Then they were ripping back to goal to get the front and square, but it was a 2-on-2 contest. It's not a bad option for the Brisbane Lions if they can make that happen a bit.
Possessions are 38-19 in favour of Brisbane.
Quarter time in the Super Netball Grand Final. 1-goal lead to the Melbourne Vixens after the Fever got an early break. It's 17-16. We'll keep you across that throughout the course of the evening. Centre clearance here for the Lions at the restart. Will Ashcroft kicked it high to half forward. Tapped on inside forward 50 by Charlie Cameron. Josh Dacos wins the race back there. Handball into traffic. Pendlebury's got a couple to battle with. Hipwood was over the top. It's dragged in underneath the champion. Game 420 tonight for the inclusion for the Magpies. And it'll be tossed up inside forward 50 for Brisbane. Fort just whacks it out of there. Moore goes back the other way. Marshall had to go through his hands. Quickly away to McCluggage. Wilmot high inside the forward 50. Sit under that, boys. Archie bashes it up in the air. Maynard bashes it up in the air. They're playing volleyball, not football at the moment. Fletcher comes through cleanly. From one Ashcroft to another. Will to Levi. Kicks to the top of the square. Quainer floats in to intercept deep in defence for Collingwood.
Further to that, Burke, it's 24-9 possessions in the forward half for each team. So they're dominating territory at the moment, the Brisbane Lions.
Isaac Quainer plays on for Collingwood, kicks out towards Myercheck, who was crashed into late by Leicester. Play on Sakal, gathered by Fletcher. High kick inside 50, they set themselves underneath. Logan Morris flies and can't believe he hangs on to the mark. Expecting someone to float in front, he put his arms out in front, Archie in from the side, and he's able to claim the mark. He's having that sort of quarter.
And he's only just turned around now and having a look at the goals. He marks it 48 metres out, did not care what was inside 50. He's going, I'm lining up for 3 in the first quarter. I don't care if you're standing by yourself in the goal square. I'm kicking 3.
What a start it has been for the Brisbane Lions spearhead. Looking to fill the shoes of Joe Danaher this season. He comes in from 50 metres out, veers out to the right. Morris's shot won't score. It's knocked away from Hipwood by Darcy Moore. Still Sidebottom sees it out of play in the right forward pocket for the Brisbane Lions at the punt road end. Brisbane by 7 points, 2-2-14 to Collingwood 1-1-7.
31st pick in the 2023 draft, Logan Morris. Second best player to come out of the Werribee Centrals Footy Club. Good evening, Rod Jamieson. Ball to be tossed back in. Daniel McStay wins his way to front spot. Handball to Maynard, handball to Nick Dacos, and now they exit through Lipinski and Josh Dacos, who whips it wide to brother Nick, who arches the back and got caught. He got picked off. No free kick to the Lions.
You pull a bloke to the ground, it's holding the ball.
Steele Sidebottom kicks it up the line. The chase down from Dunkley went unrewarded Maybe that's the whistle that only the Collingwood star would get. Meanwhile, Andrews is intercepted on the wing for Brisbane. Chips it infield to Will Ashcroft. He's got it just defensive side of halfway. Lions by 7. Halfway gone in this opening term. Massive crowd at the MCG on a Saturday night on ABC Sport. Ashcroft to half forward. Bailey attacked it with vigour. Couldn't take it with him. Nick Dacos there pounces on the loose footy. Handball infield picked up by Fletcher. Taken high by Pendlebury. Free kick Brisbane forward of halfway.
Again, the Pies just can't get it out of their back half under too much pressure.
A chance for the Lions to go inside 50 for a 9th occasion. Collingwood just a 4. Now Marshall's on his own at half forward. Eventually he spots him, Fletcher, and he takes the mark. He's still 55 metres out from home, but a chance to try and set up another forward entry. He veers out to the right. Marshall long kick in the direction of Smith. It's spoiled away by Darcy Moore with good support from Dan McStay, and a boundary throw in up against the right behind post. Brisbane by 7 points, 2-2-14 to Collingwood 1-1-7. 16 minutes gone opening term in the Super Netball Grand Final. The opening quarter, the Vixens lead 17-16 over the Fever.
Come on.
+2 in the game to the Lions. Maynard at the stoppage. The opposite number 4, Chi, takes possession of the footy, held up by side bottom, drawn to a close 20 metres out from the Brisbane goal at the punt road end. This time Henry Smith in ruck for the Lions. Lipinski tried to clear the area. Quaynor straight to Will Ashcroft, snaps off a step, misses right. Minor score, doing all the scoring at the moment, the Lions. In the last 13 minutes of play, it's been only they who've hit the scoreboard. They lead by 8, 16 and a half gone in the opening term.
2 behind to Will Ashcroft in the match. Brisbane the last 5 scores of the match after Collingwood kicked the opening goal through Lockie Schultz. The kick from Perryman from half back up towards the wing. Flying in the pack, no mark claimed, and off hands. It's locked up between McStay and Starcevic.
You've got to find another way there. You can't be kicking long to Lockie Schultz all night. He's your lead up half forward if you need him to be. But you can't be the bailout down the line.
Jordan De Goey started on the bench. He's at half forward now as Long breaks away from the tackle of Berry. Kicks up towards Myercheck. Brisbane have a 2-on-1, and Harris Andrews takes the mark with good support to Gardner. He chipped it just 15 as he takes the mark. Gardner in front of Lipinski. It is a great kick to Wilmot, who didn't have to break stride. He gets to 45. The running man sends it through for Brisbane.
How good's that?
3 on the hop as the Lions take control here at the MCG early. A 14-point margin, 3-3-21 to Collingwood 1-1-7, set up across half-back by their co-captain Harris Andrews and Darcy Gardner, and Darcy Wilmot did the rest. Poppy Penny down on the boundary.
There's a heap of people here, and a lot of them are Lions fans. There is a lot of noise for the Lions. This time last week it was British and Irish Lions fans. Today it's Brisbane Lions fans making a lot of noise at the G.
I'll throw a word at you. Collingwood are flummoxed at the moment.
Good word.
Flummoxed, complete and utterly. They're just bobbing the ball on to 2-on-1 in their half-forward line, and that's going to be a Brisbane win every day of the week. Change the angle, come through the corridor, guy running off half-back line, that's a training drill.
You've got to top that, Huff. You've got to come up with something to beat flummoxed.
Righto, stand by.
I'll throw a discombobulated out there. An opening salvo. Berkey, the linguist, at the back of the box alongside Daniel Harford. Collingwood with the clearance at the restart. Maybe Lipinski the instant answer. He drills it to the pocket. And what a man to have charging out of the goal square. None other than Nick Dacos, who marks 30 metres out, 45-degree angle right of centre.
Well, I like this move of playing him out of the goal square. Rather than put him on the bench, get him forward to the ball if he needs to have a bit of a spell. This is not a bad option for the Magpies. Now, you've got to get the ball inside your forward half to make him effective, which they did on that occasion out of the centre bounce. But conceptually, I quite like it.
3 goals won and 42 touches last week for their virtuoso. He's got 6 touches of the footy already. Set shot on the way. He was never missing it. He gets those kind of opportunities, Nick Dacos, and you put him in the book. And he kicks Collingwood's second of the evening from the set shot. 2-1-13 the Maggies, 3-3-21 Brisbane. We're 19 minutes in the opening term, and the quality of this game is everything we could have hoped for. It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford are your experts.
Well, it was a great set of clearance, and Pendlebury involved. We talked about him at the start of the game with his creativity. Just a little flick over the top of his head to De Goey, who saw the oncoming pressure and pushed it forward. and it was a lace-out laser from Lipinski. You'd like to be on the end of those if you're playing forward of the ball for the Magpies. That was clinical. Speaking about training drills, that might have been one of them for the Magpies.
A centre bounce clearance for Collingwood to try and wrestle momentum back. Brisbane's lead cut back to 8 points, having got out by 14. Back in the middle of the ground, Cameron wins down the tap against Ford, and here's to Goey. His return as he drives it inside 50, out in front of Nick Dacos. On the bounce he gathers, McStay put on a block, he cuts back on his right, kicks for Goey, spoiled away by Dunkley. Quick 1-2 with Zorko, and Dunkley clears it for Brisbane, up to the wing, but Cameron sitting underneath it. And Darcy Cameron takes the intercepting mark for Collingwood.
He's got Houston on in the centre, goes shorter than that on the diagonal to Pendlebury. Mark's just in front of halfway. Goes out wide to the southern side for Josh Dacos, who's 2 kicks from home. Lions by 8. Collingwood with the last goal in the game. We ticked into time on in the opening term. It was time on that was so troublesome for the Lions last week. Kick inside the forward 50. Big rise over the back came from Myercheck. Couldn't pull it in. Lester tackled across the boundary line. Lipinski had a hold of him. And we'll have a ball in near the junction of the 50 at left half forward for Collingwood in attack to the city end. They trail by 8 late in the opening term.
First time they've been able to hold it in their forward line for any length of time.
Nick Dacos with 8 disposals and a goal. Lockie Neal with 6. From the throw-in down to the front, Will Ashcroft gets a hand pass away to Berry through the middle of the ground. He kicks out in front of Zach Bailey, who races out on the members' wing. He gathers in front of Houston. Elliott offers chase too. One way then the other. He swings the hips and kicks up towards half forward. No mark claim. Sport away in the end from Smith. The ball slides across the turf and Fletcher is taken over by Dan Houston. Houston just slipping in front of the 2 benches. And the umpire says throw it in. Brisbane by 8 points, 3-3-21. Collingwood 2-1-13. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Pat Lipinski, the goal assist king. Laurel says always great to have the ABC footy on. And Matt says Charlie Dino Frampton, question mark.
Good selection, headache to have. Free kick and advantage from the throw-in for the Lions. McCluggage kicks inside the forward 50. Smith, the target, went with one hand. He was being held onto Berkey. Charlie Dean had an arm wrapped around him. And big Henry Smith will have a set shot for goal from 35 metres out.
I reckon it's a relevant observation that if I'm the Brisbane Lions, I'm trying to play through Charlie's man. You look at the lineup down there for the Magpies defensive at the moment. He's by far and away the most inexperienced player. And he's up against some good-sized units down there too. So I'd be trying to maximise that mismatch or his inexperience, given time and space, find his opponent.
22-year-old South Australian had to wait 4 years for his first crack at the top level. Played 4 games late last year. Hasn't played one this year. The big fella from Blackwood on the approach. Henry Smith for his first AFL goal. He steers it through nervelessly. And the pack of Lions descends upon him to celebrate. Brisbane get another in this opening term. The lead back out to 14 points, 4-3-27 to 2-1-13. 23 gone opening term and a moment to savour for young Henry Smith.
Yeah, well done, young fella. Went back, good kicking action. Straight through the middle, looked very confident. So if he had any nerves about first game this year, 80,000 in front at the MCG, certainly didn't show any then. But I'm not sure at what stage of football did just an arm around become a hold, but it has.
It has, yep.
I'm not sure the point in evolution of our game where that happened, but it is now. And well done, young Smith.
Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford, your experts. Brisbane back out by 14 points. Darcy Fort tries to follow up his ruck work. Got it down to Neal. McCluggage had it caught behind his back. The side bottom laid the tackle. Brisbane still hang on to it though. Will Ashcroft, hand pass to Zorko, to Starcevic, who shanks it off the side of the boot and runs out towards the boundary line on the members' side. Now the umpire insufficient intent.
You can't possibly believe he meant that.
I pose that as a question, but we all knew what the outcome was going to be. Now Jack Crisper's going to kick it out on the full, and this gives it back to Brisbane.
Footy karma.
Moment of footy karma, exactly right.
You can't possibly think that that's insufficient. He was trying to kick it sideways from the centre of the ground.
He threw his head back as soon as it came off the boot, knowing he'd shanked it. Brisbane take the free kick through Harris Andrews. They lead by 14 points. Up the wing, in the direction of Smith. In front, Perryman knocks it down for Collingwood to Crisp, trying to link up with Ned Long. Oh, searching out pass in the middle of the ground as a howler. Straight to Lachie Neale, who turns and goes. Kicks to Kalachi, looks up, has Charlie Cameron one-on-one with Maynard. He both initiated contact. Cameron kept his feet. Maynard went down. He toe pokes at Charlie, gathers the footy, hand pass to Archie, over the shoulder to Rayner, pumped off in the end by Houston. Enough of this fancy work, and forces a stoppage at half forward. Brisbane 40 metres out from goal, but they were almost made to pay Collingwood.
Charlie Cameron unlucky not to get a free kick there, I think.
Had it on a string for a second there, Berkey. Now at the stoppage, a chance for McCluggage. Ran into the wall. Long there for Collingwood. Josh Dacos spears it outside the defensive 50. Through the hands of Myercheck. Andrews reaching over the top. Zorko pokes it back in and finds Henry Smith once more, who's having a purple patch in the last couple of moments. This time he's about 15 metres further out, if maybe not even a bit more, and he'll have to kick from beyond the arc.
I'd like to know what he's got in terms of the journey. He's a long man. He's 202 centimetres. He's got long legs. They're big levers. Long levers can go further distances. Let's see how we go.
They'll bring you into the tribunal as a biomechanist if you're not careful. So Henry Smith, having kicked his first AFL goal with his last kick, this is a much more difficult assignment. From outside the arc for the fifth of the opening term from the Lions. Henry! Maybe, just maybe, they found something here, Brisbane. 2 goals for Henry Smith. And a game-high lead of 20 points for the Lions. 5-3-33 to 2-1-13 of Collingwood. 26 minutes gone in the opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke.
Well, Daniel, again, it's just that sloppiness coming out of the back line from Collingwood. It just chipped it up in the air, Sport to the front. I think it was Zorko on the end of it. And he's always going to find a target inside 50. And what I love Smith did was he just led straight at him. He didn't ask for the big long one over the back and say, you know, I'm tall, kick it up in the air. He led straight at him, took a chest mark, turned around, kicked the goal. Good old-fashioned footy.
After the Gold Coast Suns booted 5 goals in the opening quarter against them last week, it's the response Chris Fagan would have hoped for. Back in the middle of the ground. It comes down the way of Long. He's tackled, dispossessed. Will Ashcroft, he emerges with it. Hand pass to McCluggage inside 50. It's over the fingertips of Smith. And Charlie Dean makes the spoil. So Oscar McInerney being managed tonight, didn't feature in their premiership last year. And it feels like Henry Smith is taking his chance with both hands.
Well, speaking of hands, it's the Brisbane Lions' ability to get out of congestion from inside to out from the contest to their runners, and it's really slick. It's really standing out at the moment.
Ball tossed back into the junction of the 50 in the boundary. Again across the Lions' half-forward line. They're camped over the top of this one. The 2-7s, Berry and Josh Dacos, can't be split. Updating the netball, the Vixens by a goal. Halfway through the second term, 24-23 in the Super Netball Grand Final against the higher-seeded West Coast Fever. The stoppage this time, Schultz is up to meet it. He's dragged down by Berry. A couple of tough country lads going at it there. And we'll have a stoppage this time just outside the Lions, attacking 50. They lead by 20, 28 gone opening turn.
Close to the boundary line, kept alive for Collingwood momentarily. The hand pass towards Lachie Schultz, who tapped it out in the eyes of the umpire. And a free kick going the way of the Brisbane Lions at right half forward. Dane Zorko inside 50. Cameron got back for Collingwood. Spoiled away from him, and then Perryman knocks it out towards the boundary line.
The other one's come in.
And here it comes.
The other one come in from nowhere.
Insufficient intent to keep it in, says the umpire, and a free kick going the way of the Brisbane Lions. And Charlie Cameron has it in the right forward pocket up against the signage. He is about 40 metres out from goal.
Well, have a look at the replay. If you go on the terminology, insufficient intent, that's what it was. He had no interest in keeping that ball in play then, Perryman.
9 goals in his last 4 games for Charlie Cameron. Tough shot against the signage in the right forward pocket. Leans back and misses to the right-hand side. Brisbane by 21 points after Collingwood put the opening goal of the match. The Lions with 5 of the next 6, including 2 to Logan Morris and 2 to Henry Smith in his 5th game of footy and 1st of 2025.
Collingwood average at least 90 possessions a quarter. They're sitting on 47 at the moment with a minute and a half to go.
Plenty of their good players still haven't touched it. Membry hasn't seen it yet. Elliott hasn't seen it yet. Myercheck hasn't seen it yet. As well as Darcy Moore for the Pies. Clearing kick outside the defensive 50 from Maynard results in a stoppage.
The theme there, Joel. 3 of those are in the forward half, and they've had no time or space in the forward half. No possession, really.
Just the 7 inside 50s for Collingwood, 15 to Brisbane. Long scrambles a kick up the line. Fletcher's handball too hot for Gardner on halfway. Then he got run down by Myercheck. So he's finding ways to get involved in the game, is Brodie. And he wins a free kick. Gardner threw it out. And so Myercheck will take it from the AFL logo broadcast side of the ground. Right on halfway. Brisbane by 21. We tick past 30 minutes elapsed in this opening term.
They've had over 30 more disposals, the Brisbane Lions, so Brodie Myercheck trying to gain some territory. It won't get to Tim Membry, and it's knocked away from McStay by Harris Andrews. Umpire says throw it in, and as you'd imagine, the Collingwood fans are keen to try and make their presence known. How about that for insufficient intent?
The marking contest slightly different to general play.
It's exactly the same intent, though.
Yeah, but they're judged differently. Yeah.
Toss back in, right half forward for Collingwood. Brisbane by 21 points. Fort wins down the tap against Cameron, but it's Jack Crisp who's cruising over his shoulder. Myercheck pulls in the marker, was touched. He turns on goal and misses to the right-hand side. Trying to angle his body and fire towards goal and missing to the right. It's Brisbane by 20 points. 31 minutes gone, opening quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Almost made something of that. Myercheck heads up play to move it quickly. Closing in on quarter time. Will Ashcroft to Starcevic. Inside the defensive 50 for Brisbane. And the traditional Fitzroy coloured strips. Collingwood with their retro black on white this evening in the black shorts. Long kick up the line. Morris has tried to pluck another one out of the pack acrobatically. Handball ended up with Levi Ashcroft. His kick fell into the lap of Moore. Gave it away for Collingwood. Charlie Cameron had a chance, but it was toe poked forward by Neal for the Lions. Now forward of halfway. Dean gives it up. Picked up by McCluggage. No one at home. He bashes it inside the forward 50. Perryman side bottom and Ashcroft in the race. It'll be Perryman to get back there first in the back pocket for Collingwood. Keeps it in and did enough to make it look like he wanted it to stay in. And it gets a boundary throw in inside forward 50 for the Lions. Could have really opened up for them there. But they were playing so high up the ground, they had no one to go to. They lead by 20 points and they've got a forward 50 stoppage at the 32-minute mark of the first term.
Toss back into play. Darcy Cameron in front of Fort. Fort tries to knock it on. Zorko was on the move. And Charlie Cameron has it as the siren sounds for quarter time. Brisbane with a 20-point lead at the opening break here at the MCG. 5-4-34 to Collingwood 2-2-14. The Magpies booted the opening goal of the match 3 minutes in through Lockie Schultz, and then the Lions booted 5 of the next 6, including 2 to Logan Morris, 2 to Henry Smith in his first game of 2025. In his 5th game of his career, he kicked his first goal to start with and then had another goal 4 minutes later. While Darcy Wilmot is the other goal scorer for the Brisbane Lions. While for the Magpies, it's Lockie Schultz and Nick Dacos. Earlier today, it was the Sydney Swans who recorded a 14-point win over the Bombers. The Gold Coast Suns by 84 points over the Tigers, their 13th win of the season. To move to 5th spot on the AFL ladder, they still do have that game in hand as they close in on round 24, and the Demons by 83 points over the West Coast Eagles earlier today from Docklands. You can get in touch with us on the SMS 0437 774 774. This is Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
An emergency can happen anywhere. There are 3 warning levels across Australia: advice, watch and act, and emergency. To learn more, go to the ABC Emergency website and stay listening to your emergency broadcaster, ABC Radio.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
From the stoppage, Nick Dacos waltzes away, runs through right half forward, centering kicks, a dangerous run, Schultz! Pirouettes in the air as he pulls it into his chest. Grew up playing in Magpies colours across the border in Moama. Talk about upside. This man's got plenty of it for this Magpies team. And he punches through the first of the night. Ball kick in from Josh Dacos, picked off by Charlie Cameron, puts it back into the pocket and finds Morris. That was a gift. Just the 2 kicks last week for Logan Morris, didn't score a goal. Been a real breakout season for him, and it continues here as he gets Brisbane's first of the ball game. and hands the Lions a 1-point lead.
Fort wins down the tap against Cameron, got it to McCluggage, hand pass back to Fort, drives Brisbane inside 50, from the back, Logan Morris juggles the mark on the third bite. Logan Morris starts his approach, 25 metres out, directly in front, for 2 quick goals. He sends it through into the Brisbane cheer squad.
He's got 6 touches of the footy already, set shot on the way, he was never missing it. He gets those kind of opportunities, Nick Dacos, and you put him in the book. And he kicks Collingwood's second of the evening from the set shot. So Henry Smith, having kicked his first AFL goal with his last kick, this a much more difficult assignment. From outside the arc, for the 5th of the opening term from the Lions. Oh, Henry! Maybe, just maybe, they found something here, Brisbane. And a game-high lead of 20 points for the Lions.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The Brisbane Lions lead by 20 points at quarter time over Collingwood, 5-4-34 to the Magpies 2-2-14. Matt Lynch and Joel Peterson calling the action. Poppy Penny down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. John from Kalgoorlie says, enjoying the call. No free-to-air coverage here, so keep up the good work. Go Pies. Also, Dan and Susan here enjoying the call on a cool and cosy evening. Can you please tell us what colour shorts they're playing in tonight? I think Joel ticked that off. So in the white for the Brisbane Lions, in the black for the Collingwood side. And Neil in Coburg says, when Scott Pendlebury gets the game's record, will Boomer Harvey be hosting the party? Not sure Boomer's all that thrilled about his record being broken, but
flat as attack, Boomer.
For another day. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke. The Brisbane Lions took 6 marks inside 50 in that opening quarter, and the reigning premiers brought their best.
My word, they did. They were magnificent. Just some of the other key numbers from that first quarter, Berkey. Contested possessions, they're plus 10, 36-26, the Brisbane Lions. 18-12 uncontested marks, 28-17 ground balls. 3 goals from turnover to the Magpies, 0, and 16-9 inside 50s, so plus 7 inside 50s as well. And it was their ability to lock the ball in their forward half, which you touched on really well in that first quarter, and get the ball from the contest to the space and then get it to the open side of the ground. Take away the Magpies' defensive system, which seems to just focus on one half of the ground. Wherever the ball is, they'll try and lock out that half of the ground. If you can get it to the open side of that defensive structure, you'll be able to get some avenues to goal, which the Brisbane Lions have exposed in that first term. Now, you've got to win the footy first up to do it, but their ball use, their ability to come back through the middle of the ground and make the defensive system of the Magpies move has caught them on the hop a bit. 6 marks inside 50 is a big number against the Magpies.
It certainly is. I'm just watching, I think it's Ryan Lester here. He copped a really big knock in that first quarter, and I think the doctors at quarter time have looked at him and said, mate, we need to check you over a little bit more. Didn't touch the ball in that quarter, but Collingwood 54 possessions for that whole quarter, on track for 216. They're normally a 380 to 420 type of possession. The bottom 9 players for Collingwood have had 6 disposals amongst them. They're just too many, not doing enough. And you put a lot of that down to the Brisbane Lions' structure or defence. They're working really hard inside their forward 50. Collingwood are normally beautiful users of bringing the ball out of their back line, but just struggling, bombing the ball long. When you've got Harris Andrews and Calamachi pushing way up the ground, the ball's not necessarily going to go past them. So at the moment, it's all Brisbane Lions. But for Collingwood, they just need to make Brisbane defend for longer periods of time. Short passes, hang on to the footy, Joel.
Half-time in the Super Netball Grand Final, Daniel. Vixens by 2, 33-31 at the break.
There's been a bonus or a discount for the eyebrow tint too on the Vixens I've been watching.
Okay.
It's all the same colour.
Early stages in Sydney. The Wallabies lead the British and Irish Lions 5-0. There is an ABC call available as well. Second quarter underway. Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Now there's a whistle coming back to Josh Dunkley, who was impeded on by Jordan Ngoe. And Dunkley will take the free kick. Sends a high ball inside 50. Logan Morris nudged underneath, and Darcy Cameron getting back, takes the mark, supporting Darcy Moore. Tangle of bodies with Eric Hipwood as both fall over.
It's the second time Hipwood has made the player in front earn it. Didn't quite get there, but made him earn them. So I like that from the big fella, crashing some packs.
Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. Cameron chips it out to the back pocket where Charlie Dean takes the mark. He points for the direction in which he intends to send it up the Shane Warne wing. Close to the boundary line. Cameron reaches up. had hands to it, couldn't complete the mark, and it goes out of play. Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Yeah, Brisbane have confirmed that Ryan Lester's gone down for an HIA. He came off halfway through that first quarter and did go back out there, but the doctors were watching quite a lot of vision after he came off and spoke to them, so he'll be off for the next 20 minutes with that HIA.
Thanks, Poppy. Such an important part of that Brisbane Premiership team from last season. The boundary throw-in. De Goey cruises through, showing some of that trademark explosiveness. Got it to Josh Dacos. Drops it in the bucket out wide for Hoskin Elliott, who marks just inside the boundary line on the Shane Warne stand wing. Kicks a bit of a mung inboard, but it finds Dacos as he lunges forward. Nick Dacos. He pokes it on over the top for Pendlebury. Kick and a half from home, Pendlebury. Between the wing and half forward, nurses it on the left boot, into the pocket. Andrews is there, Membry scooting past, De Goey, toe pokes it forward, cut off by Wilmot for the Lions deep in defence. Dunkley's handball, gee, it made Berry work, and then he gave it back to Gardner. Gardner across the face of goal. Hoskin Elliott almost pulled it in. Now McStay a chance in the right forward pocket. He bumps off Fletcher, takes the footy, goes to ground. He's tossed across the boundary line. And it'll be thrown in, right forward pocket. Pies in attack at the punt road end in this second term. No score through 2 minutes. It's still the Lions by 20.
It's better swarming defence there from the Pies. Weren't doing that in the first quarter.
Jasper Fletcher just worked out what it's like for a 21-year-old to try and bump a 30-year-old. The experienced Collingwood forward as McCluggage tries to clear for the Brisbane Lions to half back. Marshall brings it down. Crisp over the top, trying to knock it out for Collingwood. And Starcevic over the top of him as it rolls out of play in front of Lachie Neale and Jamie Elliott. Brisbane by 20 points. Elliott alongside Markov and Membry, the three players on the ground yet to touch the ball. Ryan Lester as well, but as Poppy said, he's off the ground with a HIA inspection. Josh Dacos and Nick Dacos lead the way with 9 disposals for Collingwood. McCluggage and Lachie Neale with 10 for the Brisbane Lions each. From the stoppage, Nick Dacos trying to lock it up here as the umpire circles, and good support from Jack Crisp. They have Josh Dunkley caught underneath.
So up they go. Fort wins it down. Get down to Poppy with a bit of news very shortly. Fletcher along the boundary line at half-back. Out and over now as he tangles with Hoskin Elliott. Let's get downstairs to Poppy.
Yeah, the doctor's just come up from the race and he's gestured to Bruce Reville to take off the training top and the warm-up jumper, so he's coming into the game. Ryan Lester seems to have failed that HIA and he'll be subbed out.
Thanks, Poppy. So Bruce Reville getting set to play his part in this evening, his 7th game of the season, 19th of his career. The stoppage, boundary throw-in. Fort toe pokes it forward for the Lions, just gains some territory. Will Ashcroft goes off the ground into a central position. Houston got run down by Charlie Cameron. And it's locked up in the middle. Nick Foote scurries across and says, I'll have it. Right on halfway. 3 minutes gone in this second term. Collingwood 2-2. The Lions with 5 first quarter goals. They lead by 20. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Darcy Cameron for Collingwood wins down the tap to Lipinski. His kick is smothered. Pinballs out to Houston. Kicks up towards Schultz. And got one high from Dane Zorko, who wants to get the hand pass away to Pendlebury, who looks up. Elliott on the lead. And he takes the mark with a vice-like grip in front of Starcevic. He's happy to bump a knee into Brandon Starcevic as well. A tangle of bodies in the physical contest taking place. And Elliott was able to hang on, having just got enough separation to claim the mark.
Just super mark running flat out like that. You've got a defender right on your backside. That's a strong pair of hands from the little fella.
A career best season for Jamie Elliott with 47 goals so far. Collingwood need to try and cut into this deficit. From the left forward pocket, he opens up the angle, curls across his body, he won't carry the distance. But in front, Dan McStay hugs it to his chest. All the defenders caught behind. And Harris Andrews could do nothing but look on as McStay marked. Only about 3 metres out from the left goalpost. He steps out, snaps through Collingwood's third. And they have the first goal of the second quarter through 5 minutes. Brisbane 5-4-34. Collingwood 3-2-20. 5.5 minutes gone. Second quarter, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford.
Well, it's another defensive lapse from the Brisbane Lions, is what it is, to cough up another goal. One in the first quarter at the stoppage, and then this time just not having anyone sitting in front of the contest on the goal line. Blokes around the corner drop them short all the time. That's a really bad error from the Brisbane Lions. But it's a great start in the quarter from the Magpies. Berkey touched on it before. They've had forward half pressure. They've been able to limit the influence of the runners coming out of half-back for the Brisbane Lions, of control possession. That's exactly what Craig McRae would have asked for, I reckon, when he started this second term.
Still side bottom, just the 2 touches so far on the wing.
Quiet starting game, 3:49. Milestone next week for Steele side bottom. At the restart, Collingwood with the first goal this second term, and Nick Dacos feeds it to side bottom, so he's involved straight away. His handball didn't go anywhere. Might have tripped up Berry as he was swinging his foot at his boot at the ball. Then Neal goes to ground, grabbed by Pendlebury. Side bottom spins out of trouble, kicks inside the forward 50. Membry reaches up. Did he have an arm across the shoulder from Gardner? He did. And Tim Membry will win the free kick, 46 metres out. Right in front of the numbers on the 50 at that punt road end at left half forward. Kalachi scoots through the mark there, following Houston, ran into Membry. Pies fans want 50 for that. 26 goals in 17 games in his first season at Collingwood. Would have been occasions like this that he dreamt of, coming across to the black and white. Big crowd on a big stage. And Tim Membry delivers a big kick. From right on the arc, he sinks the set shot. And 2 quick goals to the Pies to start the second term. Cuts the lead back to 8 points. 4-2-26 to Brisbane, 5-4-34. 7.5 gone second quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. You're with Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke.
Well, it must be something about this end of the ground, Daniel, because the defenders coming out of there just really struggling to find targets to transfer the ball from one end of the ground to the other. Collingwood now, it's their turn to turn the ball over in their front half, go back in. And when you go back in often enough, you get lucky. You get a little over the shoulder free kick. That one was just a bit of a lever to get up and punch the footy, and well spotted by the umpire. So you don't have to be pretty sometimes. You just got to go time and time again, and you get some luck.
Also 23 goals to the Cathedral end last night and 5 to the City. Nick Dacos out of the middle of the ground for Collingwood. Hand pass to Lipinski to Pendlebury. Tackled by Berry. Gets a hand pass forward on the bounce for Hoskin Elliott. Trying to thread the needle with a hand pass to Membry. It's chopped off in the end. Marshall's hand pass to Zorko. Back to Gardner. Get it out of there. He bangs it as far as he can. Up towards halfback. Hipwood came late. Crashes it away from Cameron. Then a big tackle by Josh Dacos on Rayner. The free kick is going Collingwood's way. Now Josh Dacos is a little ginger on that ankle as he bounces up to his feet.
Take his kick from 55 metres out. 8-point lead to the Lions. Collingwood with the first 2 of this second term. He's looking at things with some purpose here is Dacos. 60 metres from home. Now he surveys his options. Kicks to the left forward pocket. Elliott gets upstairs. Can't take the mark. Zorko there brings it down. Lipinski flips it over his head. Myercheck left forward pocket. Elliott, handball back to side bottom. Now back to Josh Dacos. 52 from home at left half forward. Centering kick. Dangerous spot. Andrews imperiously in defence. Takes a towering intercept mark. And he can reload the Lions out of half back.
Short to Dane Zorko, the evergreen, as he drives the 36-year-old out of defence, and in the end decides just to go to Starcevic, who wants to try and thread the needle to Berry. Marks in front of Gardner. They're still inside the defensive 50 though, the Brisbane Lions. They lead by 8 points as he goes short to Lockie Neal, centre half back. The Lions led by 21 points just before quarter time. Back across half back, just 15 to Zorko, although Charlie Dean and Ned Long didn't think it was 15 as the kick up through the middle of the ground. Berry takes the mark. He works it straight through the corridor to Kalachi. A patient build-up. Now into the pocket. Looking for Smith. Up with one arm. Can't take the mark. Logan Morris gathers. Hard against the boundary line. Centering ball for Smith. Is that 15? It is. And Henry Smith with 2 goals in the opening quarter will shoot for his 3rd in the right forward pocket. He is 40 metres out from goal.
Well done by the Lions. If you're struggling to get the ball from one end to the other, just be safe. Don't take too many risks. Short passes, probably about 7 or 8 short passes from one end of the ground to the other. Lock it in, get a free kick, shot for goal.
2 kicks, 2 goals, Berkey.
No, they always miss a 3rd one. Sorry, young fella, but they always do.
In just his 5th game of AFL footy, He's had to wait. Henry Smith. But could Chris Fagan have unearthed something here in the right forward pocket? Smith for his third. Starts it right. Bends it back. 3 kicks for 3 goals.
Cop that, Burke.
Unheard of. It swung as a banana kick almost.
It was like an in-swinger, which you might see during the Ashes, but Henry Smith made it curl through the middle. He has 3 goals, and Brisbane counter-punch after Collingwood's 2 quick goals to start the second quarter. Brisbane Lions by 14 points, 6-4-40 to Collingwood 4-2-26. Henry Smith with his third. Nathan Burke alongside Daniel Harford. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Oh, that's Terry Alderman on the replay. That's just outside from middle off stump, just outside off. Graham Gooch has gone again. He's gone LB again. That was a beauty from Smith. But as you say, Berkey, the controlled possession then was really good from the Brisbane Lions. They knew that they were under the pump. They just had to find a way to advance the ball forward. And what they are doing clearly is getting the ball back through the corridor. Whenever possible, it's back through the corridor. So the Pies really need to be aware of that and to try and lock that out.
Back in the middle. What can Collingwood answer back with? It's been a high-quality affair so far. He tried to toe poke it forward. Lions with the clearance. Kick inside forward 50. Smith the target once more. Had more reaching over the shoulder. Brought it down. Smith goes back in on top of it. Wraps up Perryman. Ball does just jar free for Levi Ashcroft. Tackles long. Stoppage 48 metres out. Lions into attack. City end of the ground. Dunkley, hands and knees stuff. Lipinski has a ricochet away. Levi Ashcroft throws it onto the boot. And Maynard is able to secure it inside defensive 50 for Collingwood. Swings it across the defensive goal face into the left back pocket for Sidebottom. He jams his kick down the line to Schultz. Just measured it nicely enough. Schultz marks across the chalk in front of the members. Lions by 14 points, 12 minutes gone, second term. Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Long kick from Schultz is bashed across by Harris Andrews, who earns the appraisal there of Charlie Cameron. Looked like he was coming off for a rest, scooted along the bench, just sort of step-toed the AstroTurf and ran straight back out there. So it'll be thrown back in front of the Lions. Interchange.
Joel Pedersen and Matt Clinch calling the action. Poppy Penny on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts. Side bottom kicks Collingwood up towards half forward. Wilmot left it behind. Hand pass to Goey. Chops it off. His hand pass forward. It's taken by McCluggage. Through the middle of the ground. Looking for Berry, who's taken high by Ned Long. He had lost his footing, Jared Berry. And Long's had a couple of moments where he struggled to deal with the pressure here, given the atmosphere and the environment.
Yeah, that's the difference. The Pies fans are asking for below-knee contact, but he'd lost his footing. He didn't choose to go to ground. He just found himself there. That's the difference.
Berry out boundary side to Josh Dunkley, who takes the mark at right half back. Brisbane by 14 points. Dunkley possession number 7 coming up in this second quarter. In the direction of Sharp. Smith can't take the mark. Side bottom rows and hand pass almost sharked by Smith. It's knocked out in the end by McStay. Into the middle of the ground for Pendlebury. Hand pass to Perryman. Good composure. Now to the run of Darcy Moore. He kicks up to Membry in the middle of the MCG.
Membry turns and assesses what's ahead of him. He's going to flare it out wide for De Goey. Puts it into his path right on the 50 where only he could access it. And De Goey pulls it into his chest. 48 metres from home, 10 in from the boundary out to the right.
Those kicks coming off the half-back line to the other side of the centre square, just changing that lane through the middle of the ground, just open the game up so much. It's so powerful when you can do them.
Limited opportunities this season for the Mercurial Magpie. Just his 6th game of the year. 5 goals, 5 on the campaign. We know what he can deliver when he's out there and he's fit and he's firing and he delivers a blow with the set shot from outside 50. And the Magpie Army roars, welcome back, Geordie. We'll see you now and hopefully we'll see you in September. Collingwood with 3 goals in this second term. And the margin back to 8 again. 5-2-32 the Pies. The Lions 6-4-40. 15 gone. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts.
Well, I know we mentioned at quarter time only having 2 disposals, but still Sidebottom's getting busy in this term. 6 disposals for him. He's leading all comers. Sorry, Josh Dunkley's got 7 for the Brisbane Lions, but he's having a huge influence. And that transition from the Pies, from the contest at half back to the open side, was the best footy they've played tonight. They've had some nice delivery inside their forward 50 with time and space, but to be able to transition the ball, they haven't really shown a capacity to do that yet. So it's the first time we've seen it. With some control, some tempo, but they made the Brisbane Lions defend.
I mentioned he played just the one VFL game against Frankston. It's fair to say he's right to go. Cameron in the middle of the ground. Taps it down for Nick Dacos. Hand pass to Goey. Fires it out to Hoskin Elliott. They've got it to right half forward. Hand pass over the top to Markov. Back to Nick Dacos. His hand pass into the pocket left a bit for Mychek to do. Andrews knocks it down to Dunkley. Long clearing kick for the Brisbane Lions. Archie leads up. Sport away from him. Markov's tackled by Reville. Holding the ball. Markov couldn't get rid of it. And Bruce Reville, the sub, into the action for Ryan Lester with a HIA after the opening quarter. Takes the free kick.
Floats a kick down the outer side wing. Picked up nicely down low by Cameron. Darcy Cameron kicks Collingwood to half forward and Markov marks. 60 from home, right half forward. He's been the super sub for them on a couple of occasions this season. Comes in field to Nick Dacos, 55 metres out, kicks across the 50, beautiful vision, execution just as good, and puts it into the path of Sidebottom, who's got it 45 metres out, punt road end directly in front.
A little bit slow by the Brisbane Lion forwards there. That's their job to get down to the top of 50. They were just sitting just in front of the centre square there, so I think the Chris Fagan and the forward line coach won't be impressed with that effort from the Brisbane forwards.
Cast your mind back about 24 months to this man on grand final day in 2023, kicking a big, long goal to sink the Lions. Still Sidebottom. He knows the moment well. And it's only early doors in this game, but Sidebottom's goal drags Collingwood to only 2 points in arrears. 4 goals in the term for the Pies. 6-2-38 to Brisbane 6-4-40. 18 minutes played. Second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. And as you said, Daniel Harford, he's getting very busy indeed.
My word, he is 7 and a goal for the quarter. Is a very fine return for a guy who absolutely, as you say, knows the moments and able to execute under that pressure. You look at some of the numbers this second term, it's a totally different game. Brisbane had 92 disposals in the first quarter. They've had 36 to this point. The Pies had 54. They've already had 50 at the moment. So they just cannot get their hands on the footy of the Lions. The ground balls numbers are in the favour of the Magpies. Contested possessions, they're up 8, 20-12. As a result, they're getting their opportunities.
Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Free kick Collingwood's way to go. He takes the advantage. Elliott on the lead. He can't get it to him. Bruce Reville getting back, takes the intercepting mark for Brisbane. So doing that role in which Ryan Lester has done so well. Switches into the back pocket on the members' side to Starcevic. Risky kick looking for Neal. Knocked down by Houston. Sidebottom onto it. Draws the opponents. Hand pass to Chris from 50. Elliott's all on his own at the top of the goal square. Harris Andrews can't get back. And this Collingwood avalanche in this second quarter is about to return to the lead.
Starcevic will want that kick back. It was a terrible kick into the edge of the square. You had Lockie Neal surrounded by 3-4 taller Collingwood players. That was always going to come to the ground.
Jamie Elliott from the top of the goal square for his first of the night. And the Magpies are back in front. The goal umpire goes scampering to the right, but the all clear is given. And Collingwood lead for the first time since skipping the opening goal of the match. Brisbane took back the lead at the 9-minute mark of the opening term. Collingwood by 4 points, 7-2-44 to Brisbane 6-4-40. 5 goals to 1 so far in this second quarter. Meanwhile, half-time in the Super Netball Grand Final, it's the Vixens leading the Fever by 2 goals. And in the British and Irish Lions against the Wallabies in Sydney, the Wallabies lead 5-0 through 25 minutes. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, Daniel, it's pretty much exactly the same as the first quarter, except the roles have been reversed.
Yep, let's flip it. It's been very impressive by the Magpies to be able to get their heads back into the game after that first term.
Same as the first quarter. Same as last night.
Yeah.
It's his Hawthorn and Adelaide on repeat.
Momentum's a big thing.
From the restart, it's locked in again in the centre of the ground. And it'll be tossed up. Joel Peterson, Matt Clinch calling it for you. Daniel Harford, Nathan Burke, your expert. Poppy Penny is on the boundary. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. We're being treated to what's got the makings of a classic in the early doors here. Lions are able to gain some ground forward, but it's coming back through the Pies and their experienced core of Pendlebury. Got it to Crisp, kicks to half forward. Myercheck toes the paint of the sideline, able to keep the legs churning over. Kicks into the pocket now. Side bottom a bit too hot for him. Zorko's happy to step it across as he ran into Lockie Schultz. And it'll be tossed back in this end of the ground where it spent so much time in this second quarter at the punt road end. Collingwood with 5 goals have hit the front. They've kicked 5 straight. The Lions have kicked 1 straight. And it's Collingwood by 4.
Thrown in, Myercheck doing the ruck against Ford, who wins down the tap to Lockie Neal, trying to knock it away from the bootlaces of side bottom. Fletcher has a go. It spills out in the end, the way of Zach Bailey, who kicks it up the wing, but Darcy Cameron takes the mark. Hipwood slipped over. Collingwood ruck in the prime spot there. He marks on the members' wing. Daniel from Mount Barker in South Australia, thanks to the ABC. No coverage here. Also thanks from Dave in Central Tasmania. No coverage taking place. The internet's no good here, so thank you to the ABC Listen app for giving me all the coverage. Josh Dacos veers out to the right, sends Collingwood inside 50. Cameron backing back, can't take the mark. Starcevic clears it for Brisbane. Up towards Hipwood, 2-on-1. Got a hold. Brisbane take the advantage. Rayner kicks up towards Cameron and Maynard. Foot races on. Charlie Cameron can't gather. Maynard after it slaps it away. Desperate defending. Out into the path of Marshall, who volleys it back inside 50. Cameron's onto it once more. Charlie one way then the other. Maynard tries to corral him. A high centering ball underneath it. Perryman coming the other way. Marshall did enough to put him off it. He dropped the mark. Maynard tries to slap it away into the path of Marshall, who's over the footy. They tangle at ground level, holding the ball. The young Brisbane Lion just couldn't get it clear in his 4th game of footy, and the free kick goes the way of Collingwood.
Maynard to Houston, who sends it rocketing off half-back up toward Markov. Nudge Reveal under the footy and picked it up. Ran down the southern side, kicked down the line looking for memory, and Starcevic with some desperation did enough to just parry it out of play. And it'll be tossed back in at right half-forward for the Pies.
Maynard was very lucky that ball bounced awkwardly into his favour because it was just a straight-out foot race at the 50-metre line between he and Charlie Cameron. So the football gods helped him out there.
Thoughts of Nathan Burke on ABC Sport. 5 goals to 1 in the turn for Collingwood. They leave by 4 points deep into the second quarter. Hipwood's dragged off it, picked up by side bottom for Collingwood. Handball to right half forward for Markov, who stepped across the boundary line by Dunkley, and it will be tossed back in near the junction of the 50 and the boundary. 7-2 plays 6-4. Pies win. They take top spot back. The Lions are looking to get within half a game of Adelaide and Collingwood, who occupy the top 2 spots for now.
Thrown back in, Darcy Cameron palms it down to the front. Here's Nick Dacos inside 50. Membry presents, tries to juggle the mark, can't hang on to it, spills out the way of Ned Long, bumped off it by Marshall. Will Ashcroft through traffic, hand pass to Reveal. It bounces off Will Hoskin-Elliott as his hand pass ricochets out of play, and still Sidebottom puts it on the turf. So a couple of positional changes at Collingwood. Jordan Ngoe's gone deep inside the forward 50. Dan McStay's gone into defence to line up on Henry Smith, who's kicked 3 goals in his 5th game of AFL footy. Thrown in, Darcy Cameron wins down the tap to Scott Pendlebury. Hand pass chopped off by Marshall at Brisbane. Hand pass to Will Ashcroft. Quick look away hand pass. Can't link up with Neal. Long tries to tope it back to Pendlebury. Hand pass to Nick Dacos to brother Josh, who streams inside 50. Kicks long to the goal square. Myercheck wrestling, and it clears he. And Harris Andrews in for a minor score. Collingwood by 5 points, having trailed by 21 points just ahead of quarter time. The Pies with 5 of the last 6 goals of the match.
First blemish for either side this second term. Zorko stabs it in from fullback, finds Fletcher, who the Collingwood fans thought was off ahead of the mark. Jasper Fletcher inside the defensive 50 for Brisbane. Broadcast side of the ground, kicks up the line. It's all Collingwood numbers. Darcy Moore comes across, and he's paid the mark eventually after it was knocked out of his hands by Henry Smith, who's got 3 goals for the Lions. He's kicked the only goal that they've got in this second term, and it's been all Collingwood to turn a 20-point deficit into a 5-point advantage. Moore's off from halfway, kicks it long and as high as he can inside the forward 50. Andrews is up to punch it out of play decisively, and it'll be tossed back in 40 metres around from the Collingwood goal. 26 gone, second term, Pies by 5. Meanwhile, all tied up in the Super Netball Grand Final. The Fever and the Vixens, 39 apiece, halfway through the last term.
There you go. Scott from WA was asking for that. 0437 774 774. Fort wins down the tap. Nowhere for Zorko to go. As Lockie Schultz lays the tackle, 45 metres out from Collingwood's goal. Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Yeah, Poppy Penny from the boundary was also asking for a Super Netball update, being a West Australian.
And the Wallabies leading 5-0 against the British and Irish Lions. Collingwood through Nick Dacos, one way then the other. Tackled and brought down by Dunkley. Spills the way of Levi Ashcroft. I thought took the advantage, but it's coming back.
He did, and this is going to work out significantly to the advantage of the Brisbane Lions. They had no one forward of the centre. Kicked to a 0 on 3 or 4, Ashcroft then, but that was absolutely advantage.
Daniel from Melbourne will be pleased to know the Vixens are up by a goal.
Daniel's very keen.
Collingwood by 5 points. Here's Joel Peterson.
Dunkley goes defensively to Andrews. The Marshall back there for Brisbane. Waltzes around, assesses the options, thought about the southern side, and comes out toward the members' side, chips it short to Fletcher. Collingwood fans think, well, that wasn't 15 metres. They've all got their tape measures out, the 80,000 strong crowd. And now Andrews comes across to reveal the sub activated with Leicester out of the game with concussion. Inside the defensive 50 for Brisbane. Kicks to the southern wing. Dunkley floats across to Mark. Pulls it in. Cuts the kick off on the diagonal to Sam Marshall. The first-year Lion hands it off to Will Ashcroft cruising past. He flares his kick to left half forward now to Charlie Cameron. Nice build-up from Brisbane. Cameron stabs it to the pocket. And Logan Morris has a run at it and pulls it in. This imposing young forward, left forward pocket, 35 metres from home and a couple in from the boundary.
That's been the recipe for success for the Brisbane Lions. Get the ball to the open side and play from there. Now, I know they were held up to a degree once they did switch the ball in the back half, but they were to find targets down the outer side all the way through, relatively unopposed. Shift this Collingwood defence. It makes them work. It just gets them off balance a little bit, I reckon.
Morris is going to go around the body here. Can he get the journey? He whips it across the body. That's a terrific finish. 3 goals for Logan Morris. 37 on the season as his star continues to rise, and he puts Brisbane back ahead by a point. 7-4-46 to 7-3-45. 28 and a half gone, second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. You're with Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke.
Well, if you're a Brisbane Lions supporter, no matter what the result of this game brings you, you've got to be pretty happy with 2 tall key forwards down there kicking 3 goals each in such a big game as this one. But you called it right, Daniel. Jasper Fletcher had the ball down in front of us the second last time they took it out of 50. Had nowhere to go. Bombed the ball long down the line. Darcy Moore takes the mark, goes straight back in. The second time they thought, we can't do that again. Went backwards and forwards. Eventually got the ball to the fat side of the ground. So they've got to be patient coming out of that back line. Cannot bomb the ball long.
Smith with 3 goals. Morris with 3 goals. Collingwood with 7 individual goal kickers as Josh Dacos from the middle of the ground kicks out towards Lockie Schultz. He's one of the goal kickers for Collingwood. Pokes it over the top to Sidebottom. He's another. And he and Zorko in a tangle. He shoves him away, and Sidebottom's making the argument. He stepped over the mark.
Done a good job there, Zorko.
Umpire is not having a bar with us. The two are exchanging a bit of conversation, and the bench says to Steele Sidebottom, there's about a minute to go. So he sends it inside 50. Cameron, that's Darcy, the target. Harris Andrews makes the spoil. Long's hand pass, too slick for Schultz. Spills out the way of Neal. Gets it to Wilmot. Hand pass to Berry. Morris in defence is happy to step over the boundary line through the pressure of Dan Houston. And a ball in and left half forward for Collingwood. Brisbane by a point. 3 lead changes so far in this match. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Fever with the last 2 goals in the netty. Was the Vixens by 2. Now all square at 43 in the Super Netball Grand Final. Keep you updated on that as we go closer to half time. Darcy Cameron takes it out of the ruck. Wrapped up by Darcy Fort. And We'll toss it aloft. Still at half forward here for Collingwood. Trailing by a point, having hit the front in this term. 3 lead changes in the game so far. Ned Long fights for the footy with Berry, who was on his backside trying to do something with it. Spilt to Will Ashcroft. His kick only as far as Perryman. Puts Collingwood back to full forward. Myercheck wrestling with Gardner. Gardner got brought down by Myercheck. Terrific second effort from the Collingwood forward. And he draws things to a stop. Left forward pocket deep inside 50. For the Pies. 31 minutes gone. Lions by a point. Tossed in the air. Did that bounce off a boot on the way out? It's out of bounds on the full. It was a Collingwood boot. And bringing it back into play will be Levi Ashcroft from the last line.
Tuckley with 10 disposals in this second quarter. Sidebottom with 10 as well. As Levi Ashcroft long towards half-back. Darcy Cameron almost juggled the mark. Will Ashcroft takes the footy, tried to charge his way through, and he's penalised holding the ball. As time is approaching towards half-time, Scott Pennery has footy in hand, veers out to the right, sends it long towards the teeth of goal. Membry slipped over before the ball arrived. And Cal Archie, getting back to offer support, takes the mark for the Brisbane Lions. And that'll do us. The opening half in the books, and the Brisbane Lions lead by a point. 7-4-46 to Collingwood 7-3-45. The Brisbane Lions led by 20 points at quarter time after they booted 5 of the last 6 goals of the opening quarter, and then Collingwood booted 5 goals to 2 in that second quarter to take back the lead before Brisbane answered with the last goal through Logan Morris. That was his 3rd goal, 3 goals as well to Henry Smith. His first game of season 2025, the 22-year-old, 202 centimetres, playing just his 5th game of AFL footy. From Blackwood in South Australia via Woodville West Torrens in the Sandful, Chris Fagan has found one tonight with the 2 tall timbers going to work for the Brisbane Lions. Darcy Wilmot is the other goal scorer for the Lions. While for Collingwood, 7 individual goal kickers: DeGoey, Elliott, Schultz, McStay, Sidebottom, Membry and Nick Dacos. The Brisbane Lions by a point at halftime here at the MCG. In the netball, almost 3/4 time there, and the Vixens somehow have opened up a gap. 48 goals to 43. We'll keep half an eye on that. And in the rugby taking place at Sydney Olympic Stadium, it's the Wallabies who lead 8-0, 37 minutes in there. The thoughts of Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford, your experts on ABC Sport. The Lions leading by a point at half-time.
Oh, quite simply, Daniel, the roles were reversed. Everything that Brisbane did to Collingwood in that first quarter by locking the ball in their front half, repeat inside 50s, denying the other team the ball, that is what Collingwood did to Brisbane that quarter. I think inside 50s around about 19-5 in favour of the Pies. They squashed the ground. Their defenders got really high up. Brisbane, whenever they bombed the ball outside their defensive 50, it came straight back in. There was 2 or 3 passages where they managed to just have about 6 or 7 short passes, looked like they weren't going anywhere, finally get the ball to the fat side of the ground, and that's when they looked dangerous. Kicked a couple of goals by doing that, and it was their young fellas, Smith and Logan Morris, who got themselves on the scoreboard. The small players for the Brisbane Lions up in the front half, and Bailey and Cameron and these sort of guys, really ineffectual in that quarter completely. But it was a dominance around the contest. Collingwood, I don't think Craig McRae is a spraying type of bloke, but whatever he said to them at quarter time just changed their attitude around the contest. Far more better at the inside ball, had players spread well on the outside of the ball, and their forwards started to come into play with Jamie Allett and Membry both kicking goals, and the old stages as well, DeGoey and Steele Sidebottom kicking them from around about 50 metres out. So they made the most of their opportunities as well. So in terms of what's going to happen in the second half, we don't really know, because it's absolutely 1 quarter each at the moment. Both teams have dominated for a quarter, couldn't maintain it. The other team have fought back, which is what good teams do. They very rarely have 2 bad quarters in a row. So, Daniel, I think we're in for a ripper so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see the Pies rally like they did in that second term and flip the game on its head. And it was absolutely, as you say, just the way that they did it was through contest and clearance. Their contested possession was +9 for the quarter. They were -10 in the first quarter. They were +9 in the second term. So that's where they got to work. As a result, they had territory on the back of that. Inside 50s, 19-5, as you say. And forward half possessions, I've kept an eye on that. through the game so far. And in the first quarter, Collingwood had 54 disposals, full stop for the quarter. In that quarter alone, they had 58 in their forward half. So the frontal pressure, which we touched on prior to the game, their smalls got to work ahead of the footy and at the contest inside their forward 50. I thought that was a real highlight for the Magpies in that second term. I reckon if you're Chris Fagan at half-time, you say, okay, right, well, they throw their punches. They're a seriously good footy team. We knew that. We're expecting that this evening. What we showed, though, is when we were really measured and we got the ball to the open side, we could still find a way to score. Even when momentum was going against us, we could still find a way to score and hit the scoreboard. And they did that through their bigs again in that second term. So I think there's clearly something in it for Craig McRae at half-time on the way they've rallied. But if I'm Chris Fagan, I'm not losing too much sleep at the minute. So I know a way to get around them. I can find a way past them. Just got to get our hands on the footy and make really good decisions through the contest, particularly in the back half of the ground for the Brisbane Lions.
Back in round 6, Collingwood led at every break, eventually prevailing by 52 points over the Brisbane Lions. Tonight, the Lions are giving everything they've got. It's the response in which Chris Fagan would have hoped for after a disappointing loss to the Gold Coast Suns last week. And Logan Morris had 3 goals, and as he touched on, Henry Smith with 3 as well. So maybe he's found something which he can build on. Sort of round 21, it's the right time to find a good combination that's going to work for you.
It does, and it just puts pressure on those guys who are up in the forward line. It just adds to that depth of who can actually play. So when you do get your opportunity, you have to make the most of it. And Logan Morris, I really like Logan Morris's game tonight. He's taking contested marks, but the last goal he kicked was from a really good, smart lead, albeit into the pocket, but he timed it perfectly, got on the end of it, and finished off really, really well. So, he's going to be a gun for a long time.
Bruce Reveal came into the game in that second quarter after a failed HIA from Ryan Lester at quarter time. Unfortunately for him, that's the end of his 61 consecutive games. He'll miss next week with concussion. Craig McRae's going to have an interesting exercise. Jordan Ngoe kicked a great goal from 50 metres out to the right. He's got Bobby Hill as the sub. So he'll sit there keen to get involved, and Craig McRae will think, well, I need him involved at some stage, depending how tight this game continues to be.
And I think possibly Ngoe might be the guy. It's a big ground. It's his second game back. Just tell him, mate, go nuts for 3 quarters and then come off. So would not be surprised if that was the change.
He's not the player you'd want to chase if you're a defender, having played 3 quarters and Bobby Hill just comes on.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. That's a defender's nightmare, that is. I wonder if the state of the game has a play and has a hand in that decision. If it's still pretty tight, do you keep a guy like Ngoe on, and because he is a match winner, he's a guy that can have that moment like he's done plenty of times through his career and break it for his team? Or do you just keep the fresh leg syndrome and just try and take the guy probably a touch underdone? Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that clearly, but state of the game might be a factor in what the Magpies coaching staff do with that sub.
Just before we go to the news, does Dan McStay stay as a defender? Do they need that support in their back half?
Ideally he's not, but the way they restructured forward the ball, they look pretty dangerous. So maybe it's a lever they can have a bit more of a look at through this third term and see where it ends up, and again have the capacity to change the dynamic by flipping him back ahead of the footy. I think he's a much more natural forward, isn't he? I mean, he's done a great job for them in that role plenty of times when he hasn't been injured. Led the charge many times for the Magpies. So I would think they wanted to play him as a forward, but it was in case of emergency break glass situation.
The Brisbane Lions punished Collingwood in that opening quarter from turnovers, and the Pies are able to do likewise in the second quarter. It's the Brisbane Lions who lead by a point at halftime. We'll pause for the moment from the MCG and bring you the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News. Good evening, I'm William Howard. Authorities have issued watch and act warnings as heavy snow continues to fall in the northern tablelands of New South Wales. The State Emergency Service has issued 28 warnings for residents across the mid-north coast, Hunter and parts of northern rivers, central tablelands, northwest slopes and plains, northern tablelands, southwest slopes and snowy mountains forecast districts. The SES says heavy rainfall is causing rivers to rise rapidly, with moderate flooding along the Peel River at Tamworth and the Naomi River of Gunnedah. Acting Chief Superintendent Stuart Fisher is urging residents to stay vigilant and act early.
Yeah, look, we've had a bit more snow than what was predicted. We are going to get up to around 10 to 50 centimetres of snow up there over the next 24 hours, which is quite substantial. We do have a number of warnings out up there as well, and anyone who happens to be driving up that way to be very, very mindful of the conditions.
Transport authorities are warning a pro-Palestinian march planned for the Sydney Harbour Bridge tomorrow will bring major disruptions across the city. The Supreme Court of New South Wales has refused an application by police to deny permission for the rally, saying there was no evidence doing so would enhance public safety. Police say they accept the decision and will put in significant measures to manage crowd safety. Craig Moran from Transport for New South Wales says the Harbour Bridge will be closed from about 11:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will have a flow-on effect across most of the road and public transport networks.
We will be working in with New South Wales Police to minimise that impact as far as possible, but don't be confused. It will be a significant impact, and if you can avoid that eastern part of the city tomorrow afternoon, please do so.
A prominent Russian opposition activist says Europe must start seeing Ukraine as a European country and the Ukrainian military as a European army. Ilya Yashin made the remarks in a speech to hundreds of expatriate Russians in the Serbian capital of Belgrade. It's the first such public appearance by a high-profile Russian dissident in Serbia since 2022. He says the Ukrainian army is not only protecting Ukraine, it's protecting Europe from Russian aggression. Medics in the Gaza Strip say 3 more people have been shot dead in the latest incident near a site run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It comes just hours after US President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, toured an aid distribution point run by the GHF. The controversial group denies any deaths at its sites, though the UN says about 1,000 people have been killed while trying to get food from the service. This 10-year-old Palestinian girl has this message for US officials.
Children are dying from hunger. Men walk towards death just to bring us food and water. And we're dying.
A council plan to nearly double the population of Adelaide's CBD is facing questions over its viability. Adelaide's Lord Mayor wants to increase the city's population from about 27,000 to 50,000 over the next 11 years. The plan requires building 1,000 new homes every 12 months. Planning Institute of SA President Kate Hart says the population goal will not be achieved without attracting families.
Single bed apartments to meet a student demand is not going to reach your 50,000 people. You actually need to build development that will accommodate 3 and 4 people per household.
Specialists in suicide prevention are urging a fresh approach to tackling issues across Australia, encouraging practitioners to put people with lived experience at the centre of their strategies. In June, the Productivity Commission found Australia is falling short of its suicide prevention targets and notes the need to include people with lived experience in such frameworks. Darwin woman Samantha McIntosh works in suicide prevention and says it's a rare opportunity to rethink how the nation approaches the topic.
We're naturally comfortable with someone who knows what we're going through and knows how to deal with that. Same way you make friends. You know, we both like football. Or, you know, there's ways that people connect. If you can look at someone and think they know what I'm going through, it makes things a lot easier. There's things that don't need to be said.
Spirit of Tasmania 1 is on its way back to Australia after port authorities in Singapore kept it from sailing home after scheduled maintenance found minor issues. The delay has resulted in passenger bookings needing to be rescheduled by 2 days. And that's the latest ABC News.
You meet the most interesting people on Sunday morning.
I tell you what, I'd kill for some clean air and a good coffee over here. And there's no generic latte over here.
Come home straight away, please. Join the rest of Australia right here on Sunday morning.
Australia All Over on ABC Radio. The summer of cricket has arrived early.
Lobs it straight down the ground for 6. He's on the pull shot. Boy, did he get that.
White ball cricket takes centre stage in the top end as Australia take on South Africa.
Shout for leg before, finger goes on.
It all starts on Sunday, August 10.
Down the pitch, there we go. Bang.
Every ball live on the ABC Listen app. Just click on the cricket button. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
The doctor's just come up from the race and he's gestured to Bruce Reville to take off the training top and the warm-up jumper, so he's coming into the game. Ryan Lester seems to have failed that HIA and he'll be subbed out.
A career best season for Jamie Elliott with 47 goals so far. from the left forward pocket. He opens up the angle, curls across his body. He won't carry the distance, but in front, Dan McStay hugs into his chest. All the defenders caught behind, and Harris Andrews could do nothing but look on as McStay marked from the left goalpost. He steps out, snaps through Collingwood's third, and they have the first goal of the second quarter through 5 minutes.
Embry turns and assesses what's ahead of him. He's going to flare it out wide for De Goey. Puts it into his path right on the 50 where only he could access it. We know what he can deliver when he's out there, and he's fit and he's firing, and he delivers a blow with the set shot from outside 50.
Starcevic, risky kick looking for Neil, knocked down by Houston, side bottom onto it, draws the opponents, hand pass to Chris, from 50, Elliott's all on his own, at the top of the goal square, Harris Andrews can't get back, Jamie Elliott from the top of the goal square for his first of the night, and the Magpies are back in front, the goal umpire goes scampering to the right, but the all clear is given.
Morris is going to go around the body here. Can he get the journey? He whips it across the body. That's a terrific finish. 3 goals for Logan Morris.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at the MCG, a humdinger so far. It's the Brisbane Lions who lead by a point. 7-4-46 to Collingwood, 7-3-45. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson calling the action. Poppy Penny down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke are your experts on ABC Sport. Collingwood kicked the opening goal of the match. Brisbane kicked 5 of the next 6 goals. They led by 21 points just before quarter time. They led by 20 at the first break. 5 goals to 2, and then Collingwood booted 5 goals to 2 in the second quarter. They took back the lead at the 20-minute mark after Jamie Elliott kicked that goal, and then the Brisbane Lions wrestled it back just before half-time as Logan Morris booted his third alongside Henry Smith in just his first game of season 2025. His 5th game of AFL footy, picked 48 back in 2020 from Blackton in South Australia, and he has booted 3 goals as well. Darcy Wilmot, the other goal scorer for Brisbane, while for Collingwood, 7 individual goal kickers: De Goey, Elliott, Schultz, McStay, Sidebottom, Membry and Nick Dacos. You can join us on the SMS 0437 774 774. As Anthony from Blackburn in Victoria has done, loving the call. What's better than beating the Pies by 10 goals? Beating them by a point. Also, Jason from Carrum says, where would Brisbane be without Logan Morris? The kid has jumped in and made the most of an opportunity. And Dan says there's quite a few exciting key forwards emerging in the AFL. Darcy Thilthorpe, Darcy Fogarty, Logan Morris, Sam Darcy, just to name a few. Good news for the league amongst all the doom and gloom. And Dave in Reservoir says, you blokes are always for Collingwood. Well, not tonight. We're just seeing how it eventuates, and we'll call it how we see it. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Final stages in the Super Netball Grand Final. There's about 6 minutes to go, and it's the Melbourne Vixens who lead 55 goals to 52. The West Coast Fever were on a 13-game winning streak leading into the Grand Final. They hadn't lost since round 2, and the Vixens get the hosting rights given the fact that the Victorian government purchased the chance to hold the Super Netball Grand Final, so that might be a slightly contentious topic depending on how it pans out.
I imagine that'll go down really well in the West. that won't be an issue.
Back to 2. It's back to 2.
Simone McGuinness coaching her final game after 13 years at the helm of the Melbourne Vixens, so the emotional sentiment there. And in the Super Rugby, the Wallabies taking on the British and Irish Lions. It's half-time there, and the Wallabies lead 8 points to 0 after being denied victory here at the MCG last Saturday night. A pretty good showing so far in the first half from the green and gold. Earlier today it was Melbourne who defeated the West Coast Eagles by 83 points. Max Gawn got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Their biggest win so far this season and their biggest score of 2025, 21-13, 139. Bailey Fritsch booted 4 goals. Petty and Langford with 3. The Gold Coast Suns by 84 points over the Tigers. Their 13th win of the season, so their best in their club's history. They're 5th now on the AFL ladder, just behind Geelong, but they still have that 1 game to play additional to everyone else in round 24 over the Bombers. Ben King booted 4, and Bailey Humphries with 3. Noah Anderson got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year for his 38 disposals, and the Sydney Swans by 40 points over the Bombers. Brody Grundy got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year. Just a lazy 39 disposals, 32 hitouts and 13 clearances for the former Demon and Magpie.
Not bad for the big fella. Hey, just on the Suns too, importantly for them in that sort of the jostling for those spots, their percentage is now at 125.1. So you compare that to Hawthorn at 117, Freo at 112, GWS at 111. The Dogs, of course, another game back at 137. But in those sides that are currently on 52 points, so Gold Coast, Hawthorn, Freo, GWS all on 52 points, the Gold Coast have got that really significant percentage edge, which is so hard to claw back in a big way at this time of year.
Yeah, come at the right time, certainly. But more importantly, Clinchy, I'd like to know, is Humdinger your entry into the word of the night?
Just waited for the right time to put that in. Dan on the SMS is now without Susan, having turned out she was a Collingwood supporter. Abrupt end to a promising first date, enjoying the call nevertheless. And Aaron says, thanks for the call, gents, and Poppy from a rainy day in Milan.
Good.
Milan. Holiday is on hold.
Nice. I want to know who, if Dave in Reservoir thinks we all go for Collingwood, who does Dave go for? Because having been a former resident of Reservoir, I would have thought that was Collingwood Heartland.
Yeah, it is Heartland. Absolutely it is.
Every second house I used to walk past had Collingwood something.
Absolutely.
So who's Dave backing if he's not on the Pies in Reservoir?
0437 774 774 to join our Saturday night conversation. It's the Brisbane Lions who lead by a point. Nick Dacos and Will Ashcroft both with 17 disposals. Josh Dacos with 14. Josh Dunkley with 15. Here's Joel Peterson to get the second half underway. Brisbane by a point.
That's lived up to the billing so far, Clinchy. May that continue for this second half. The two most recent premiers, second and third on the table, and they can hardly be split as we enter the second half. Spinning out of the middle was McCluggage to kick up toward half forward. And this is what Darcy Cameron does so well for a big man. Fills that hole defensively. Chips it across to Dean. The lightly raced defender. Just his 12th game, 4th of the season. Battle with injuries early in his career. After being picked up off the rookie list, kicks down the members' side. Myercheck flew for it, couldn't take it with him. There's a free kick in there going to Collingwood. It's going to Schultz. Still Sidebottom trying to relay him the ball back. Dane Zorko got in the way. No one stands the mark here, so Lockie Schultz can gallop off if he wants it. He does. Elects to do so. Takes the ground. Kicks inside forward 50. Hoskin Elliott over the top. Reaches up. Can't take the mark. Jagoe powerfully takes the footy away. Handball back to Perryman. Off a step. 45 metres out. It'll float toward the behind line and get clattered over by Gardner. And it'll be thrown back in. Deep forward, Collingwood in attack to the city end of the ground. 3 lead changes in the game. The Lions by 20 at quarter time. And it is a 1 point lead to Brisbane a minute into the third.
Cam Rayner just for 3 possessions in that first half. Zach Bailey just for 4.
Thrown back in. Fort wins down the tap against McStay. McCluggage with a clearing kick for Brisbane up to half back. Hipwood almost had the mark. Spoiled late by Maynard. Spills out to Josh Dacos. Right half forward for Collingwood. Inside 50. Plenty of Lions jumpers. And Harris Andrews spoils it out of play. Good support from Jared Lyons. And the umpire says, throw it in.
If they ever bring in the rule that a spoil out of bounds is deliberate, Harris Andrews can't play anymore. That'll be the end of him. He's had about 6 tonight.
Dave in Reservoir has been in touch with the team he barracks for. McStay tries to swat it over the back towards Jamie Elliott. Starcevic has got him. Umpire circles and will ball it up. Fitzroy.
Oh, good stuff, Dave. Not Brisbane, noted.
That's definitely
Fitzroy.
not Brisbane.
Fitzroy, a goal in it in the netball. 57-56, 3 minutes to go. We'll keep you across that. He's long at the stoppage. Picks it up, throws a boot at it for Collingwood. Up and down the mine shaft, inside forward 50. Wilmot, he handed it off to Neal, who was flung as he kicked. Bailey picked it up. Josh Dacos was draped all over him. And we will have a stoppage inside forward 50 for the Pies. They kicked 5 goals to 2. In that second term, they took the lead, then they ceded it at the end of the quarter. McStay, the former Lion, tumbles it forward to Andrews, who took possession that time. He was tackled immediately, and a ball up top of the goal square for Collingwood.
Good pressure by the Pies.
2:40 to go in the Super Netball Grand Final. Vixens by 2 over the Fever. Fort wins down the tap. Lockie Neal through traffic. Hand pass to Berry. Running a fine line. Hand pass to McCluggage. Back to Berry. Bumped as he got his kick away up to half back. Hipwood tries to slap it to his own advantage. And cleverly sees it out of play for a throw in at right half forward for Collingwood. Brisbane 7-4-46, leading the Magpies 7-3-45. 3 minutes gone. Third quarter, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Hipwood's only had the 4 as well, so a couple of real prime moves in the forward half of the ground haven't had any influence in this game.
You have upside for both of these teams. Still to be played out. Look at Lockie Neal off the tap from Fort. Ruckwork was delightful. Neal's kick around the body. Hipwood did enough to interfere with Moore, who was floating back to try and mark, and then Maynard collected the footy, chipped it out of bounds on the full. He kicked it to a Collingwood person. It was his coach who took the chest mark and moved it on. Bailey, handball to Zorko. Zorko tried to slap it on, picked up by Long, and then Zorko butters up and drags Ned Long into the turf, and we will have a ball up just attacking side of halfway for Brisbane.
It's not a game where you just start to flip the ball in the air. You've got to grab that footy. Dane Zorko.
Darcy Cameron down to Degoe for Collingwood, kicks up the wing. Darcy Gardner had to take contact and then wait for the umpire to blow his whistle as Myercheck lays the tackle. Centre wing on the members' side. Brisbane by a point. Thrown up. Fort tries to get it down to McCluggage. Then Dunkley goes to work. Hand pass to Marshall, to Lockie Neal. Into the middle of the ground for Zorko, trying to open it up to Wilmot. Trying to get around Lipinski. He does so. Tucks the footy under his arm. Drives it inside 50. A hack has it kick. Quainer got a cool bounce. Charlie Cameron gets it forward to Logan Morris for his fourth. In the right forward pocket, he jags it through. Brisbane ran the gauntlet through the middle of the ground, and they come up big with the first goal of the third quarter. The Lions 8-4-52, Collingwood 7-3-45, and Logan Morris has his fourth, with Henry Smith having kicked 3. The Brisbane Lions by 7 points, 5 minutes gone. Third term, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford.
Well, Dan, I just want to go back to the start of Wilmot got the ball in the middle of the ground. The 2 plays before that, Brisbane had over-handballed and played in Collingwood's hands, and the ball stayed in the middle. Wilmot got the footy. He had opportunity to handball the ball, but he didn't. He just took the game on, banged it inside 50, got kind bounce for Charlie Cameron, a handball to Logan Morris. But if you overdo the ball through the middle in a tight game like this, it's going to come unstuck. So well done by Wilmot.
Thoughts of Nathan Burke alongside Daniel Harford on ABC Sport. Dunkley toe pokes it clear from the restart. Fletcher scoops it up, gives it to Zorko. Kicks to Smith, who's been a terrific find at his first game of the season with 3 goals for the Lions. Hands off to Neal. He rolls the kick up to right to left half forward. Levi Ashcroft goes into battle against Steele Sidebottom, and the experience wins out for the Magpies. Ashcroft in game number 20 against Sidebottom in game number 349, with 350 to come next week.
Vixens can maintain possession for 30 seconds. They'll win the Super Netball Grand Final.
59-58 with half a minute to go. Dunkley at the stoppage. Kicks to full forward. He had the fly there. Morris couldn't take the mark. Was he interfered with in the contest? He was. So it's going to come back to him. So the kick was sat on top of his head. Moore came over the top and interfered with Morris. And the sharpshooter will have the shot 20 metres out, slight angle left of centre. Darcy Moore's in disbelief.
Sorry, mate, we're both watching the netball.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll just roll on, Berkey. That's okay.
It's all over.
Old invoice for you too as well.
We've done it. 59-58. Simone McInnes goes out a champion.
Morris for his career equalling best 5th goal. Bends it around the body and sneaks it in. Logan Morris continues to make a big impression on the big stage. 2 goals to start the term for the Lions. Again, all the scoring being done to the punt road end, and they open up a 13-point break. 9-4-58 to 7-3-45. 7.5 gone. Third term. Morris with an equal career best 5th goal. He kicked that. And what's going on in the netball, Berkey, in half?
59-58. They maintained possession. It was like watching a team up by 3 points with a minute to go in footy. They just held the ball, passed it around, held the ball. Fever couldn't get back off them. As we see Kate Maloney and Simone McInnes embracing after the game, the captain and the coach. Brilliant stuff. They beat by 10 and 11 during the home and away season by the Fever, the Vixens. So to be able to turn that around in the grand final, admittedly on the home track, that's a big story.
So the Melbourne Vixens beat the minor premiers to claim the Super Netball title, their first since 2020. Collingwood get it forward through the hands of Steele Sidebottom, centering ball, leading out Myercheck. What a pass.
What a kick. Gee, he stood up in that first quarter. He had a pretty quiet start to the game, still side bottom, but I'm sure Craig McRae would have asked his leaders in the quarter-time huddle to really step it up, and he's been the one for the Magpies that was jumped out of the ground and said, I'll do my best, boys, come with me. And that was brilliant. Across his body, 40 metres into the corridor. Awesome.
The 34-year-old who's on the verge of a milestone, still side bottom. Game 349 tonight. Brodie Myercheck with one behind so far until now. From 45 metres out, he sends through his first. And a much-needed Collingwood response after Logan Morris has booted the first 2 goals of this third quarter and 5 for the match. Brisbane's lead cut back to 7. 9-4-58 to Collingwood, 8-3-51. Brodie Myercheck becomes the 8th individual goal kicker for the Magpies. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke with you on ABC Score.
Well, side bottom had those 2 possessions in that first quarter and bounced back with 10 in the second, and absolutely chalked that one down to a beautiful kick to Myercheck leading full power. There's absolutely nothing the Brisbane defender could do to stop that one. Importantly, Myercheck put it through. So Collingwood started the better this quarter. Brisbane have rebounded, and it's 50-50 at the moment, so neither side changed a lot from what they were doing in that first half. Just a real arm wrestle.
7 points the margin. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. He's delivering us something memorable indeed. At the restart, Pendlebury's dragged down. And it is locked up in the centre. Dunkley again applying the pressure. 14 tackles last week for Josh Dunkley.
Cam Rain has put himself into the middle to try and get himself into the game.
Had a play at it there, Berkey just couldn't reel it in. Levi Ashcroft the clearing kick. Reville might have been into the back of Schultz. Nothing paid. It's Topoke forward for the Magpies. Starcevic bashes it back the other way. Pendlebury was given a hot hand pass, ran straight into traffic, and then Schultz dived in on top of the footy. And we will have it tossed up just forward of centre for the Magpies. They trail by 7. They got the last goal in the game after Brisbane kicked the first 2 of this term through Logan Morris. It's the Lions by 7 points.
Thrown up, Darcy Cameron wins down the tap against Smith. Houston for Collingwood. Perryman, Quain a run down. In the end, he was brought down by Hipwood. Brisbane streaming clear. Rayner drives it to a vacant goal mouth and misses to the left-hand side. He went for glory from 53 metres out and just couldn't steer it through.
She had Morris running in.
Yeah, it wasn't the best option. Bad option.
Lions by 8 points.
That was an option of a guy who's only had 3 touches in the first half.
He kicked it an absolute mile, though. He let it go from 60 and it carried the line and then some. Long kick in from fullback for the Pies. Cameron knocks it down in the contest. Side bottom's there again. Handball back to Cameron. As he tackled for Collingwood, he turned it over. Neal, Berry, Dunkley, all by hand to Reville. Now defensive side of centre to Archie. Whips the kick across the corridor.
That's the ball. That's the ball that's broken the Pies tonight a lot.
Finds Levi Ashcroft just on the outer edge of the centre square, right on halfway, southern side of the ground. Goes wide to his fellow father-son in Ashcroft, and Fletcher, I should say. And what are they playing for tonight again, Berkey?
It's the compromised draft cup.
Thank you, Revel. Back to Levi Ashcroft. Direct all mail to N. Burke, courtesy ABC Sport. Here's Ashcroft. Kicks long to full forward for Brisbane. Where's Morris? Reaching over the top was Rayner. And it's clattered out of play. It'll be tossed back in. Right forward pocket. Lions into attack. Punt road end. They kick 5 in the first. Collingwood 5 in the second. So far it's Lions 2-1 in terms of goals in this third term. And Brisbane lead by 8 points, 12 played.
Joel Peterson and Matt Clinch calling the action. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts. Poppy Penny on the boundary. Darcy Cameron wins down the tap. Cameron might have caught one in the eye on the way through, and McCluggage sockers it towards the boundary line and out of play in the right forward pocket for the Brisbane Lions.
McCluggage just snuck up to 18 possessions. 6 so far this quarter.
Either side really go with tag, so McCluggage has been alongside Nick Dacos and Pendlebury at times. Throw in clears Darcy Cameron and Hipwood. It spills out the way of Jack Crisp, who kicks off the outside of the boot up towards Gardner, removed by Brodie Myercheck, who then slaps it onto the southern wing into the direction of Membry, who does likewise. Starcevic gets back for the Lions. Hand pass to Gardner, gets the hand pass away to Dunkley, kicks the Brisbane Lions up the wing. Logan Morris is up against about 3 Magpies. They bring it down to the front. Levi Ashcroft's hand pass to brother Will. He keeps it in momentarily. No, he doesn't. The boundary umpire on point with his arm in the air blowing the whistle, but the atmosphere here A crowd of just under 80,000 expected, enjoying every moment of the Brisbane Lions, who currently lead by 8 points.
Drama in Sydney at the Wallabies and Lions clash.
Oh, no.
Play suspended due to lightning strikes.
Oh, no.
But horrible weather in Sydney today over the last couple of days.
Why would you play sport in Sydney?
Very, very good point, Berkey. Waltzing through the stoppage was Fletcher. Now to Dunkley. Handball to half forward. Cameron Hart against the boundary line for Brisbane. Kicks into the pocket. Archie and Maynard. And it was Collingwood's number 4, the better of the two, who wrestles Archie out of the way, cuts an aggressive kick up the middle. Andrews knocks it away from De Goey, reaches over the top, spills to Lipinski, outside of the boot, won't work. Smith had it to play at it, left it for Levi Ashcroft, and now dashing off half-back comes Fletcher, pokes it into the pocket, and Darcy Moore rockets it back the other way with 2 fists. He punches it into the stands. And it'll be thrown in at right half forward for Brisbane. 9-5 plays 8-3. Lions on top, having lost their last 4 to Collingwood and not winning here against the black and white since 2014.
There's some high-quality defensive play from both teams tonight. Defenders just making good decisions to leave and get involved, become the attackers. It's brilliant.
Darcy Cameron tried to take it out of the ruck, lost it. Quick 1-2 with Zach Bailey. The kick inside 50. Hip with the target, can't take the mark, and Fletcher kick is slapped out of play in the end, and a boundary throw in as Kalachi. That matchup with Braden Maynard. So many matchups across the ground to keep a close eye on. Darcy Moore has the job on Eric Hipwood. Charlie Dean has been alongside Logan Morris for parts of the night. Henry Smith doing the ruck work against Darcy Cameron. Dunkley keeps it alive. Hand pass to Hipwood. Tries to bounce off Pendlebury. Umpire says ball it up. Right forward pocket for the Brisbane Lions. They lead by 8 points. Last goal at the 9-minute mark of the third quarter, the way of Brody Myercheck. Darcy Cameron can't clear it, trying to do the rucking and the roving. Will Ashcroft kicks it straight up in the air. Darcy Cameron knocks it down. Chris tries to get it out for Collingwood. Levi Ashcroft to brother Will. He finds a way forward. Hand pass to McCluggage. He screws the kick back. What a pass to Cam Rayner, who in position hugs it above his head. And full applause from the Brisbane Lions forwards as they get across to the efforts of, in the end, that centering ball of Will Ashcroft. Not many can do that.
Good players in big moments. McCluggage has had a huge impact here, but that is a little bit special.
Ashcroft through traffic, and then McCluggage able to screw it back. The double act from a couple of key contributors, and now Cam Rayner to finish from 35 metres out, directly in front. Brisbane kick clear once more. 3-1 so far in this third quarter, and the Lions hold a 14-point advantage. 10-5-65 to Collingwood 8-3-51. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke try and do justice to how Will Ashcroft lost his footing on a couple of occasions and somehow got a hand pass out to Hugh McCluggage, who screwed back the most superb pass.
But it wasn't just that stoppage where Ashcroft handballed the ball to McCluggage. There's 3 stoppages in the forward line, and both Ashcrofts had a hand in every single stoppage, either knocking the ball forward or just keeping the ball in their hands and getting tackled. Repeat stoppage. They're just so lively around a stoppage and so hard to stop. So neither of them gets a goal assist or a goal there, but chalk that one up to the Ashcrofts. They were outstanding.
13-4 clearances this quarter for the Brisbane Lions.
It's been a spifflication in the middle of the ground.
There it is.
Oh, that's not bad.
Spifflication.
Levi Ashcroft making a play at the footy at the restart. Taken away by Nick Dacos to Perryman. Perryman kicks up toward half forward, through the hands and over the back of Elliott. Scooped up by Starcevic, who tried to kick off balance, and he went wobbling out of play. So did the footy out of bounds on the full. Will Hoskin-Elliott will take it from left half forward. 70 metres from home. Pies down by 14. 3-1 in the term so far for Brisbane. 17.5 gone in the third quarter. Hoskin-Elliott kicks to the pocket. Across to punch it out of play was Darcy Fort. The ball wedges underneath the signage behind the goals at the city end. It'll be tossed back in. Joel Peterson, Matt Clinch calling the footy for you. Daniel Harford, Nathan Burke, your experts. Poppy Penny on the boundary. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. And a stoppage deep forward for the Pies.
Thrown in. Darcy Fort tries to get it down. Ravel was on the move, and Jamie Elliott has taken it across the boundary line up against the signage. The umpire will throw it back in as Jared Berry tangling there. Players eventually rise, and it's just a little worse aware as he slowly gets to his feet. Brisbane by 14 points. 3-1 the way of the Lions in this third quarter. Thrown back in. Myercheck doing the ruck against Fort. Fort taps it down towards Dunkley. Clever slap on to Bruce Reville, who kicks up towards halfback. A bouncing ball in front of Hipwood, who charges onto it. Tackled by Chris, but spills out to Levi Ashcroft. And his kick is smothered and goes out of play for a throw-in. 65 metres out from the Collingwood goal. Brisbane leading by 14 points. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Possession 67-37 in favour of the Lions.
Just like the first quarter where they dominated, Collingwood dominating the second. It's been all Brisbane so far. Across half-back here where they've got their game going from this part of the ground. They chain it through hands. Neal to Levi Ashcroft. Gave it up to Bailey. Got caught by Lipinski. Somehow got the kick away. Only as far as Moore. Hands it off to Nick Dacos. Runs into a wall of Brisbane jumpers. Turns it over in the middle of the ground. They surge it forward here, Brisbane. Now to the danger man in Bailey. Pokes it into the pocket. Smith runs onto it. It bounces. It tumbles. It rolls away from the big man. He can't track it down. Dean was right there with him every step of the way, and it'll be tossed back in right forward pocket. Brisbane deep into attack.
Poppy, we got some action on the bench for the Magpies.
Yeah, it does look like Bobby Hill's coming into the game, just waiting to confirm who's coming out of the game, but you can hear that big cheer from the crowd. They've seen that Bobby Hill has got the warm-up top off.
Jordan De Goey.
Yeah, it might be Jordan De Goey. Fort slaps it towards the behind line. In the end, Collingwood rush it through Charlie Dean. A 15-point lead Brisbane's way. Jordan De Goey playing in his first game since round 8 against the Cats, that Achilles injury, and Bobby Hill having missed the last 5. Not playing since he played against Frankston last week. 3 goals.
Why did Zach Bailey kick that ball before?
Oh, I got no idea.
For another 20 metres, but
terrible kick.
Horrible option. There's a bloke who hasn't got any confidence at the moment.
As we expected, as Nathan Burke told you at half-time, Jordy De Goey subbed off for Bobby Hill to come back into the game. Side bottom off half-back to Josh Dacos. Kicks down the line, Elliott with a rise. Can't pull it in. It goes to ground over the line and out of play. Let's go downstairs to Poppy.
And for any Collingwood fans concerned about Jordy De Goey, the club has just confirmed it is just tactical, him being subbed out, so that's good news.
So they say, Poppy, so they say.
He's going to have a big part to play in September. No doubt about that. He's Jordy De Goey. The boundary throw in. Fort slaps it down to McCluggage. Ever Industrial being minded by Markov at the moment to try and curtail his influence on the contest. Right half forward for Collingwood. Slapped out of the ruck, straight to Lockie Neal. Handball to Bailey, ran into Rayner. Cam Rayner actually fended off his own teammate there before he got his kick away. Into the centre of the ground, floats over the head of Crisp. It'll come ricocheting back the other way through Quainer. His handball turned over. Rayner steps through the tackles in the middle. He tried to give it up to Will Ashcroft, got caught, and it's dragged into the mess. And we'll have a stoppage in the centre of the MCG. Nearly 80,000 here. 15-point Brisbane lead. 10-6 to Collingwood 8-3. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
I've seen on a few occasions both sides have been out, and just a stray hand pass missing. The quick kick inside 50 for Collingwood. Myercheck trying to bring it down to the front. Membry can't gather. Fletcher over the top of the footy. One umpire circle. The other one behind says ball it up. As Myercheck was over the back of Fletcher looking at the umpire saying, are you going to pay it? Are you going to pay it?
I hate it when they start dancing around, waiting for it to come out.
Brisbane by 15 points. Fort wins down the tap against Myercheck. As Long follows up, he can't bust his way through. 35 metres out from Collingwood's goal. 8 individual goal kickers for the Magpies. Well, Logan Morris has equalled his season high with 5. He's done so on 3 occasions. Myercheck gets it down to Pendlebury. He can't find a way through traffic, and Will Ashcroft lays the tackle.
Up it goes again. Still Myercheck in ruck. Fort takes it out this time. Jams it on the boot. Josh Dacos venturing into unknown territory bravely. Darcy Cameron was there as well. Rayner just surged it forward for Brisbane. Levi Ashcroft taps it boundary side. It trickles out on the Shane Warne stand wing. It'll be thrown back in.
Will was very good in that second quarter. Now it's Levi's turn. He's had 9 this quarter.
3-time Premiership player at under 18 level, Levi Ashcroft. First year in Brisbane colours. After starring for Sandringham and Vic Metro the last couple of seasons, Bailey's powerful at the stoppage. He fends off and drives the kick to half forward for Brisbane. Dean going back with the flight for Collingwood. Controlled it well, controlled the ball and his mind, but his kick was a little bit too hot for a teammate in the middle of the ground in Pendlebury. Picked up by Wilmot, kicks inside 50. Quainer had a good piece of it and enough. As he tumbled to the turf, he's paid the mark. He releases Crisp at right half back. Jack Crisp wants to keep it moving for Collingwood. Long kick up the line. Too wide for Myercheck. In fact, Membry out of play. It'll be brought back in by Andrews.
Pressure of the game is affecting the skill level of players. Collingwood are going at 38% this quarter by foot, and the Brisbane Lions are 44%. That's incredibly low for two high-quality teams.
Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Harris Andrews into Lockie Neal. Long up the wing. Outnumbered. Good work by Dean, who brought it down. Archie lays the tackle on Crisp. Maynard through traffic. To Nick Dacos. Hand pass to Houston. Into the middle of the ground for Hoskin Elliott. Gardner makes the spoil. Running onto it, Levi Ashcroft. He knocked it straight in the path of Lipinski. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. Out to Myercheck. Starcevic came running in. Myercheck had played on. Cuts on his left into the pocket. Here's Jamie Elliott. Deep in the left forward pocket, 45 metres out from goal. Myercheck found composure after playing on.
Yeah, I thought he mucked it up there because Elliott was all by himself for a good 5-10 seconds, but he was good enough to spin around on his left under pressure and hit a target.
He has been known to break opposition hearts in the past. Can he do it once more? Looking to try and draw Collingwood back within striking distance. A 15-point lead Brisbane's way. Elliott with one already. Out to the left, just inside 50. It's not a bad effort. Ford on the goal line. Thumps it through for a minor score. Brisbane by 14 points. 3 goals to 1 the way of the Lions in this third quarter, which is now 25 minutes elapsed.
Wilmot dashes in from fullback. So Will Ashcroft and Fletcher. As the Lions poke it around inside the defensive 50. Fletcher with a little bit more purpose on the kick. It's only as far as Markov to Josh Dacos to Houston, who was too quick, and under the pressure he faltered. Collingwood keep possession through Josh Dacos to Nick Dacos to Quainer, who whacks it inside forward 50 to Bobby Hill. Oh, he dropped the mark at the critical moment, couldn't take it. And now a chance for the Pies. Elliott caught holding the ball.
It's lifted.
Might have been Membry who had to play it in the earlier instance, and Jamie Elliott was caught by McCluggage, who wasn't letting go. And the free kick inside defensive 50 for the Lions, up by 14, 26 gone in the third.
McCluggage up the wing, almost a great one-handed mark to Josh Dacos. Not paid. Fort gets it forward. Rayner takes the mark. They're streaming forward. Charlie Dean sets himself. Good mark in front of Logan Morris.
Their entries have been woeful. The last 7 or 8 minutes of Brisbane Lions have had some really good looks. Just pulled the trigger way too early.
Dean switches into the pocket for Quainer. Now into the middle of the ground. Pendlebury unleashes Nick Dacos. He looks to Lipinski at half forward. He takes the mark. Harris Andrews slapped the ball away late.
Bobby.
He looks for Bobby Hill. It's on the bounce to him. He gathers the left foot to the goal square. Elliott caught behind. Keeps it alive. Myercheck puts it on his boot. And his shot on goal dribbles out to the right. Oh, the moment. The pressure. How did that pass not find Bobby Hill? Brisbane still lead by 13 points. 26 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
The moments are mounting now. The crowd can feel with every passing minute they become more important as the kick out wide. Crisp doesn't have to see it out of play in front of the members. It'll be tossed back in.
Well, the Brisbane Lions just need to find a way to stop the game, slow the game down, get some more stoppages. They're 18-6 up in this third term alone from clearance. They're dominating this element of the game. Just don't need to play on all the time. Control the game, kick the numbers if you need to, and get more resets.
Daniel Harford alongside Nathan Burke, your experts. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. From the throw-in, Nick Dacos got it somehow to Long, who fashions a kick forward, looking for Bobby Hill. Back with the flight, Wilmot. Did enough to knock it away. Spills to Marshall for the Lions. Now to McCluggage. Pokes the kick down the line, and Hipwood. He's got Saturday night fever as he comes sliding out on his knees to mark. Right on halfway on the broadcast side of the grounds. 66 Brisbane, 53 Collingwood. Comes over the top now by foot to McCluggage. Houston closed with some force, but the mark will be paid to the Brisbane star between the wing and left half forward.
The difference is Brisbane are bringing Zach Bailey up to the contest so they get an extra number around it, and he's had 10 possessions this quarter.
McCluggage inside 50. Darcy Moore rises from behind against Logan Morris. And double-fisted out of play. In the last 10 minutes, Brisbane's pressure factor has been 252.
I don't think I've ever seen
I've never seen 250.
Average is 190, right?
190's elite.
Collingwood has been 248.
Oh,
that gives some explanation as to why the skills under the pressure. Cameron down to Houston. No chance to clear inside the back pocket for Collingwood.
A quiet night down. Houston gets 6 disposals for the Magpies.
Brisbane by 13 points. Fort wins down the tap against Darcy Cameron. Rayner dodging and weaving. Jams it on his boot. It goes straight up in the air into the right forward pocket. And Darcy Moore trying to race back. Can't get there. He was hoping it cleared the boundary line. It bounced in play. So a throw in the right forward pocket for the Lions.
So Nick Dacos is off the ball at the moment. He's gone forward. He's the deepest player, or closest to goal player for the Magpies. Normally they would push all their numbers up. He's hovering back with a one-on-one.
Fletcher standing alongside him. Throw in deep forward for Brisbane. Darcy Cameron works his way to front spot. Side bottoms on the end of it. Pendlebury there as well. The opposite number 10 in Ashcroft of Levi. Puts his head over it. Fights for the footy. Big pack around it. Pendlebury has another go. Can't wrench it free. McCluggage can. Neal's kick smothered. Ricochets to Quainer, who's grabbed by Hipwood. Caught. Not going anywhere. And we've got a ball up inside forward 50 for Brisbane at the punt road end. 3-1 in this term. They led by a point at quarter time. The margin at the moment is 13. Out wide, here's Levi Ashcroft from the boundary line. Tries to hook it back on goal. Morris reaches up, can't take the mark. And it's out of play in that forward pocket. Let's check in boundary side. Poppy Penny.
Yeah, Henry Smith came off for the Lions very shortly. It's his first game back in the AFL for the year, and he looked absolutely gassed. He came off and basically sat down on the floor in the interchange gates.
Good call, Poppy. He's touched it just one time in this third quarter. As Darcy Fort slaps it down on the boundary line, looking for Zach Bailey, but it rolls out of play.
He's done his work. 3 goals in the first quarter, that's enough.
Logan Morris with 5 for the match. Collingwood with 8 individual goal kickers. Brisbane with 20 clearances to 7 in this third quarter. As the ball spills out the way of Pendlebury, hand pass to Long under pressure. Can't get it to Crisp. Collingwood try and force it out of play through Ned Long. And under the pressure of Cam Rayner, it goes out in the left forward pocket. Under the Olympic stand, Brisbane 10-6-66, leading Collingwood 8-5-53, closing in on 3-quarter time. This match to shape the top 2 and the top 4.
Still inside forward 50 for the Lions. Fort goes to ground with the footy. His handball up to Maynard, who bashes it out of defence for Collingwood. Bouncing ball into the centre. Tumbles past Levi Ashcroft. Goes down awkwardly. Picked up by Fletcher on halfway. Got it to Charlie Cameron. Kick around the body. Neal did well. Got it to Zorko. Pushed as he kicked. Low kick inside the 50. Gathered by Bailey. Dragged down. Got it around the corner somehow. Free kick. Free kick to Bailey.
I reckon it was the second element, the second phase of this tackle. First phase, I reckon he ducked. Was checking on the replay. I reckon he ducked into it, and the umpire called play on. And then I reckon he gets up, and he goes again. And that's where he gets him with the left hand over the shoulder.
No, but it was the umpire who was the third one out of zone.
In the middle of the ground.
And he was the one who called it.
So Zach Bailey, quiet night, hasn't had his usual impact. He knows how to kick big goals against Collingwood. 35 out, directly in front, buries it. And the Lions fans will raise a drink to that. And if you're in Brisbane colours, make it a Bailey's. 11-6-72 to Collingwood 8-5-53. It's a 19-point lead to the Lions late on in the third term before Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford. Let's go boundary side. Poppy Penny.
There's a Collingwood fan leaning over the bench, hanging his glasses out to the umpires, asking if they would like to borrow them. So if you're wondering how the Collingwood fans felt about that free kick, that just about sums it up.
And the other part is Dan Houston sort of gestured towards the big screen, so they have been paying them as 50 this week, so he's probably a little fortunate.
What I love about Brisbane's setup is their 3 deepest defenders were Levi Ashcroft, Jasper Fletcher and Bruce Revel. And any ball that comes out along the ground, those 3 just zooming on it. If it's a high ball, short of them, they're tall players there. But it's very unusual to have your 3 shortest players back deep, but it's working well for them.
Brisbane out by 19 points, as wide as it's been since the early stages of the opening quarter. Side bottom can't break clear as McCluggage and Neil lay the tackle. 4-1 the way of the reigning premiers in this third quarter. As Fort and Darcy Cameron tangle once more. Cameron wins down the tap. Scott Pendlebury tries to wrestle the ball clear. McCluggage is in there. Berry's on the Dunkley's on the bottom of the pad, and the umpire eventually will come in. So
Archie's gone back to as an extra defender, but Houston's gone with him, so they're now even ahead of the footy again, the Magpies.
There's about 15 players around this stoppage as Darcy Cameron tries to squeeze a kick forward. It's smothered. And on the bottom of the pack, it's Lockie Schultz alongside Ned Long and Hugh McCluggage. So the Lions may be feeling like they've done enough. They want to stop this game.
Clearance is 20-8 in this quarter for Brisbane. It's been a domination around the footy.
Collingwood have got 5 players ahead of the ball. Brisbane have only got 2, so they've got 4 forwards who've come up around this stoppage and congesting it, and that's why they've got 20-8. They've got extra players there.
As Clinchy said, it was a similar lead in the opening term. And, of course, Collingwood came back in the second quarter to hit the front. Clearing swipe at the footy is marked by Gardner, who puts his head in his hands as soon as he kicked it out toward the boundary line. Out of bounds on the full, taken by Crisp. Pumps it forward for Collingwood. In from the back came Houston, punches it down. And we get to 3-quarter time in an eerily similar position to where we got to quarter time, as Braden Maynard, having a bit to say to Logan Morris, picked up the footy and handballed it into his face at 3-quarter time. Brisbane led by 20 at the opening break. With a quarter to go, they lead by 19, having kicked 4 goals, 2 in that term to Collingwood's 1 goal, 2. In the opening term, the Lions kicked 5 goals to 2. Collingwood then kicked 5 goals to 2 the other way to hit the front late in the second term. So stay tuned, footy fans. We could yet be set for something very special here in this final term. For the Lions, Logan Morris has 5 goals. Henry Smith has 3. Zach Bailey has 1. Darcy Wilmot has 1. And Cam Rayner also has a goal. For Brisbane, for Collingwood, all single goal kickers: Myercheck, Dacos, Membry, Sidebottom, McStay, Schultz and Jordan De Goey, who has since been subbed out of the game with Bobby Hill into the action.
So Logan Morris kicked 2 of his 5 goals in that third quarter. And Zach Bailey, who had 4 disposals to half-time, had 11 disposals and a goal in that third quarter as the Brisbane Lions booted 4-1 to lead by 19 points at 3-quarter time. Great to have your company for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Your book is sensational.
It's not okay to have a crush on your agent, is it?
Michael Theo returns in the heartwarming new season of Austen.
I'm not going to let fame change me.
Sunday nights on ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Centre wing on the members' side. Brisbane by a point. Thrown up. Fort tries to get it down to McCluggage. Then Dunkley goes to work. Hand pass to Marshall. To Lockie Neal. Into the middle of the ground for Zorko. Trying to open it up to Wilmot. Trying to get around Lipinski. He does so. Tucks the footy under his arm. Drives it inside 50. A haphazard kick. Quainer got a cruel bounce. Charlie Cameron gets it forward to Logan Morris for his 4th. In the right forward pocket, he jacks it through.
Morris for his career equalling best 5th goal, bends it around the body and sneaks it in.
Collingwood get it forward through the hands of Steele. Yes. Sidebottom centering ball, leading out Myercheck. What a pass.
What a kick.
Brodie Myercheck with 1 behind so far until now. From 45 metres out, he sends through his first. Levi Ashcroft to Brother Will. He finds a way forward. Hand pass to McCluggage. He screws the kick back. What a pass to Cam Rayner, who in position hugs it above his head. And now Cam Rayner to finish from 35 metres out, directly in front. Brisbane kick clear once more. In the last 10 minutes, Brisbane's pressure factor has been 252.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I've never seen 250.
Average is 190, right?
190's elite.
Collingwood has been 248.
So Zach Bailey, quiet night, hasn't had his usual impact. He knows how to kick big goals against Collingwood. 35 out, directly in front, buries it.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
That's how we've called it to three-quarter time at the MCG. Brisbane by 19 points over Collingwood. 8-6-72 to the Magpies, 8-5-53. I'm Matt Clinch alongside Joel Peterson. Poppy Penny's on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke are your experts. In the Super Netball Grand Final, a win for the Melbourne Vixens by 1 goal, 59-58. After the West Coast Fever finished on top of the table, their 13-game winning streak comes to an end. And the Vixens claim their first Super Netball title since 2020. In the rugby, the Wallabies and the British and Irish Lions, their match has been suspended due to lightning. So just 2 minutes into the second half, it's the Wallabies who lead 8 points to 0. But we're being told that play is expected to resume in 6 minutes' time. So Quentin Hull and the team there in Sydney, we might get to listen to that on the ABC Listen app, depending on how long the delay takes place. And Cam McAvoy has just won gold in the 50-metre freestyle. It was the 11th fastest time to claim it, 21.14. So this is over in Singapore for the World Aquatic Championships, which are taking place. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Marcus in South Melbourne says, cracking match this for a second week in a row. Collingwood's defence seems decidedly shaky under pressure. Why is this so given the players we have? Gary in Canberra says, enjoying the call, but can someone please explain to me the pressure rating numbers and how they're calculated? Similar thing coming through from Richie in Ocean Grove. No. Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford. I'm not sure if you have the secret sauce as to how they decide this, but it's a combination of different factors, isn't it?
Yeah, it's spoils, it's pressure, it's runs, chases, it's all those elements of defence.
It's an algorithm.
It is. There's an algorithm, there's a formula somewhere. Champion Data crew know it. I certainly don't, but it's all that defensive stuff.
Deep in the bowels of Champion Data.
It's put into the machine and it spits out that number. I don't understand. 190 is really good. If you can average 190 through the season, you've had a good season. So 250 in, 243, whatever the Magpies were at one stage in that's the third quarter as well, is supreme. It's unbelievably tough and hard footy. And the numbers reflect it, and the way both teams were using the football in that third term reflected it. They had no time and space, and when they did, they almost felt like they were under pressure anyway, because that's what the norm was. So they turned the ball over more often than not. It was a fascinating quarter of footy.
It was, and give a lot of credit to the Brisbane coaching staff. The first quarter, it was Brisbane's handballing that was getting them forward and really damaging. So what they did in that quarter said, well, we won't open the game up, we'll bring players up. So Zach Bailey, who hadn't touched it, comes up around the middle, has 11 touches and a goal. Cam Mariner hasn't touched it, he comes up around the middle as well. Opens up their forward line. Collingwood defenders don't like space. They like congestion to be able to come over the top. So it gave Collingwood what they don't want and gave Brisbane what they want around being able to handball their way through.
Final term underway, Brisbane by 19 points. A chance for the Brisbane Lions. They can't initially get the clearance, although Levi Ashcroft soccers it off the deck, gets it a half forward. Outmanoeuvred is Smith. Hand pass from Perryman. Back to Darcy Moore. His kick is a turnover for Collingwood. Wilmot takes the mark for Brisbane. Centre wing on the Shane Warne stand side. Inboard to Zorko, who works it forward by foot to Will Ashcroft. He marks on the AFL logo on the outer side. Now he looks to drive Brisbane inside 50. Into the path of Smith. It won't get to him. Team dropped the mark. It's knocked out by Fort. Back to Smith. He's tackled and dispossessed, holding the ball. Collingwood will get the free kick through Jack Crisp in the right back pocket.
Of course, the Pies have been the AFL's cardiac kids in the last couple of years, but 10-9 in last quarters this season. Brisbane, conversely, 7 wins out of their 19 last quarters so far this season. It has not been a strength of the Lions by any stretch. Long kick out of defence for the Pies. Coming back in with some interest here. McCluggage fashions a kick inside the 50 and lunging to mark is Hepwood, who was on the end of a scrappy kick from Hugh McCluggage, but he put it in the right spot. And Eric has got a 50-metre kick to push Brisbane out to what would be a game-high 25-point lead.
Brisbane had 58 kicks, 53 handballs in that third quarter. Some of their work in tight, it's almost Western Bulldog-esque. Been very, very good at it.
Looks like Mitchell Stark here coming off the long run. Eric Hipwood, he almost backs back to the middle of the ground. Hasn't kicked a goal tonight. Been quiet in recent weeks. Lets it go from right on the 50. Eric Hipwood drags it across to the right-hand side. 20-point lead to Brisbane. 2 minutes gone. Final term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Umpires look to bring him back into play through Dan Houston as he surveys the options and decides to head out to the members' side. Darcy Cameron the target, big fly from Fletcher from behind, can't take the mark, but first onto it, kicks inside 50, Rayner tries to use his body against Pendlebury, can't take the mark, Maynard then lays the tackle on Rayner, hand pass chopped off by Chris of Collingwood, out towards the boundary line, sliding in Berry, can't break away as Schultz lays the tackle, umpire says holding the ball, and the two tangle for a moment or so before the umpire comes in, and Lachie Schultz will take the free kick at left half back for Collingwood.
That's the right call. Dived on it, couldn't get it out. It's a free kick every day of the week.
Brisbane by 20 points. Schultz long up the members' wing. Darcy Cameron and McStay in the pack. McStay a little nudge on Harris Andrews, worked him underneath it at front position. Andrews knocks it on into the path of Charlie Cameron. Hand pass to Dunkley, away to Neil. Here comes the lead once more, and it's Eric. Hipwood marks. 50 metres out directly in front.
It's that one extra handball to the runner, to the guy who's supporting you in the phase, that can often get overlooked. Brisbane give that handball. It just buys you another 10 metres to advance, and it creates another opportunity for you forward to read what's happening.
At the matchup on Dan Houston on this occasion, who was caught in tow, and Eric Hipwood having had a cider, one behind so far for the match. Looking for the first goal of the final term. He's going to go into the pocket, tries to get out towards Levi Ashcroft, and that was well read by Will Hoskin-Elliott, who takes the intercepting mark for Collingwood in the right back pocket. Brisbane by 20 points.
Curious decision in the end.
Yeah, had done better option in the end.
Kick it to a 2-on-1. Will Hoskin-Elliott floats back to intercept. Whacks it long outside the defensive 50, and intercepting is Eric.
Eric's up and about early.
He's been everywhere. He sprung out of the ground here in this final term. Hipwood rolls onto his left boot, sends it long and strong for Smith, and Rayner! It floated over the hands of the big man. Cam Rayner in the pack is paid the mark. He's got a 25 out, tight angle in the left forward pocket.
Still not sure how he was the one who ended up with that.
No.
Some massive men around him.
He had Moore in front of him. He had Henry Smith in front of him.
Cameron floating next to him.
3-1 last week for Rayner. For his second this evening, he puts a bit too much hook on it. Minor score. And that takes us to an equal game-high lead of 21 for Brisbane. They had it late in the first term. They've got it early in the last. And remember, Collingwood did come back to hit the front in the second quarter.
Hides fans taking some deep breaths. It could be almost over. Houston's long kick out of defence and finds Lachie Schultz. 2 shots for Eric Hipwood. 1 for Cam Rayner to start this final term through almost 5 minutes. Schultz up the wing. Chris sets himself. Off fingertips, can't take the mark. Elliott's hand pass over the top to Lipinski. Knocks it on for Collingwood. Starcevic gathers. Hand pass to Neil. Away to McCluggage. Across the half-back line to Wilmot. No space to run as Bobby Hill's circling. Hand passes it to Levi Ashcroft. Works it back to Wilmot. One way then the other. Bobby still chasing. Back inside defensive 50. And Darcy Gardner takes the mark. Bobby Hill subbed in the game for Jordan Ngoe in the third quarter. Unfortunately, Ryan Lester off with a concussion issue. At quarter time, Bruce Reville coming into the game. And now Harris Andrews across half back, up the wing. Hipwood's marked everything. This time Logan Morris over the top. Maynard tried to knock it towards the boundary line, looking for Darcy Cameron. Berry taps it on towards Rayner. Neither can take the footy. Darcy Cameron's hand pass to Maynard. Along the ground to Nick Dacos. Back to Houston. Nowhere to go. Rayner lays the tackle. Holding the ball. Brisbane have lifted.
That's his 7th tackle. He's going nicely. He's working off the ball nicely. Cam Rayner worked his way into the game on the back of defensive efforts.
Another powerful intervention from the former number 1 pick, and then he's absolutely shanked it.
That's not ideal.
That's come off the hosel. Out of bounds on the full. Side bottom to take the kick at the junction of the 50 in the boundary to Pendlebury. And now Collingwood trying to build the footy up. Perryman. Brisbane by 21, 6.5 gone final term. Joel Peterson and Matt Clinch with you on ABC Sport. Nathan Burke, Daniel Harford, your experts, and Poppy Penny on the boundary line. Long kick from Perryman, spills off the front of the pack to Crisp, the former Lion. He's dragged down by Neil and Dunkley and brought to a halt right on halfway. Broadcast side of the ground. Brisbane 11-8, the Pies 8-5. No goals in this final term as yet. We're 6.5 minutes through.
Knocked on by Darcy Cameron. Crisp knocks it on, only as far as Berry. Hand pass back towards Fletcher. Kick partially smothered. McCluggage. Two Magpies bring him to a halt. Headlong alongside the left mark off, and the umpire will ball it up.
This is good for the Lions. They're just halving or winning the contest.
Cameron gets rid of Smith. Kick is smothered though. Lockie near with a hand pass to Ashcroft up towards half forward. Perryman. Excellent mark. Wedged in between Logan Morris and the other forwards. He takes a good intercepting mark for Collingwood across half back.
Takes his time to assess the options, then kicks long up the line, broadcast side. Myercheck and Cameron in the pack. Darcy Cameron goes to ground, spinning through his shorts, gave it up straight to Fletcher. Handball under duress out to Zorko. Measures his kick down the members' side. Archie up in front. Can't take the mark. McCluggage roved it. Morris is out the back. How's the kick? Inch perfect. Morris marks at the junction of the 50 in the boundary. Rolls onto his right boot. Centres it up. Looking for Archie. And who else? Floating in but Pendlebury, who reads the game so beautifully. Chips short to Maynard. He got bumped after he took the mark. No 50. He releases Pendlebury now to Josh Dacos and on to Houston off half-back.
Finally some room to move for Collingwood. He sends it up towards the wing. Bobby Hill sliding on his knees, takes the mark. He has a player in tow. It's Elliott. Hand passes boundary side. Back to Bobby Hill. Trying to put the block on as Hoskin Elliott. He keeps it alive. Hill. Hand pass into the pocket. Lipinski. Centering ball looking for Darcy Cameron. He juggles the mark. No! He got rid of his opponent but couldn't complete the mark against Smith. It spills out. Chris tries to knock it over. It's front-on contact against Jack Crisp. And the Collingwood fans, it's fair to say, are voicing their frustration. Brisbane by 21.
Wasn't a mark.
No.
They chip it around defensively, Hipwood. Now, Will Ashcroft.
They do put enormous pressure on the umpires, though, don't they? Collingwood fans.
Hill is sore over the other side of the ground. This is a dangerous kick. Oh, Bobby Hill! He feigned them. He went down with the injury. He got back up. And he came rising over the top of Zorko. It was the old-fashioned rope-a-dope from Bobby. And he's got it 15 metres out to kick Collingwood's first of the last quarter.
I don't know whether he didn't see Bobby behind the umpire or what. He absolutely did not see him there.
Subbed on in that third term, Bobby Hill. You knew he was always going to have an impact. And have an impact he does. Magpie fans on their feet. And Collingwood rushes to Bobby Hill inside forward 50. What a welcome return he is to this team. 15-point margin, 10 minutes gone, final quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke, your experts.
Well, there's a runner in the scene as well. Yeah. I don't know whose runner. Well, I think it was might have been Collingwood's runner, who he might have been hiding behind. And he just didn't, you're right, he just did not see him. Because there's no way in the history of football that anyone's kicking to that spot if there's a player near your teammate.
It's the old pop-up sprinkler.
Yeah, well, that's what it sort of was.
There was umpire there, there was a runner there, there was just a lot going on.
Didn't they run that play? Remember the movie The Longest Yard? They ran that play when they feigned the injury and then all of a sudden they've got a receiver down the field.
Is that the original Burt Reynolds or the Adam Sandler?
I'm going Burt Reynolds.
Go Burt.
Bobby Hill's return since round 15 and he's on the board here and Collingwood come to life. It's Long who gets it out to Josh Dacos, up towards Jamie Elliott, tangling with Fletcher, spills out, Lipinski to Membry, centering ball, getting back, Zach Bailey, courageously with side bottom coming the other way. Brisbane by 15 points. They had those two shots early, or three if you count Hipwood's bizarre pass to Levi Ashcroft. And Wilmot goes short as at 15. Umpire says it is. To Berry. Into the middle of the ground. Risky for Neil. Membry makes the spoil. Spills out the way of Hoskin Elliott. Will Ashcroft makes it good for Brisbane. Hand pass to Zorko. Logan Morris is out the back. Getting Matt Maynard. Now Rayner, is he taking the advantage? He has and he's missed. No, he's got it. Dribbled it through from the left forward pocket.
What? Oh, that's a ridiculous play on.
What is he
doing? The goal umpire had a good look at it and Cam Rayner dribbles through a goal from the left forward pocket, but the decision to take the advantage was interesting from Cam Rayner. It's all smiles now. There's a few of the Collingwood boys, Maynard, Darcy Moore, Quainer, they're all in and Logan Morris has got knocked from the turf.
So the free kick was to Morris, 15 metres out, dead in front. The ball rolls to the boundary line. Rayner picks it up, throws it on his outside of his right boot and dribbles it through from outside the point post.
Oh, my hat.
It's the most... He kicked it with his left, so he mustn't have heard that it was a free kick. You could not play on running to the boundary on your left foot if you knew it was a free kick.
That's an incredible goal.
You just couldn't.
It's an amazing goal, let alone the scenario.
It's an incredible goal for how good it is as well as how bad it is.
Yeah. Well, Logan Morris is thinking, hang on, could have had half a dozen here.
And when you thought this game couldn't get any wilder, it takes another turn. Lions out by 21 again. The restart, Josh Dacos over the top of the footy. Fort shovels it forward to Will Ashcroft. Off to Bailey. Tumbles the kick to full forward. It skittles the pack. Maynard rushes back there. Rayner dives on top of him. Now in the forward pocket. Morris. Was he caught high? Was he caught high? He was.
Lucky not to be 52.
Yeah.
Threw him down to the ground when he... umpire blew the whistle.
We nearly pointed to the screen again.
Half pointed to the
nearly
screen.
pointed.
I reckon the umpire's gone and told him don't do that.
Had a dirty night, Dan Houston. And Logan Morris has got it right forward pocket. 5 goals to his name. One of the emerging forces of this Brisbane team. He is having a career night. He curls it around the corner breathlessly. Puts Brisbane 27 points to the good. And the Lions fans will be Morris dancing as Logan kicks his 6th. 13-8, 86. Collingwood 9-5, 59. And Logan Morris from the western suburbs might have made it a bridge too far for Collingwood.
He's clever. He's a skillful player. That's twice he's done the left foot snap tonight as part of his 6-goal haul. He's a very skillful player. I love the way he just wants to be a part of it. It's terrific. Now, you call the free kick what you like, Magpie supporters, but Brad Maynard falling over on the last line really was the reason why that happened. Some frontal pressure from Rayner helped, but him slipping over was the reason why it's happened. And Josh Dacos has gone into the middle of the ground like he did the other week against the Gold Coast Suns.
6 of the last 8 goals away. The Brisbane Lions. McStay into the ruck. Taps it over the back. McCluggage stalks it forward. Perryman into the middle of the ground. Run down. Great chase. Zorko's gone. Schultz wins the free kick for Collingwood. He cuts back boundary side. Kicks out the Shane Warne stand wing. Perryman takes the mark. Up inside 50. Membry over the top. Can't clear forward. It spills out to Pendlebury. Hand pass to Josh Dacos. He's got side bottom. Can he get it to him inside 50? He can. Back with the flight. Charlie Cameron was trying to get back, but Steele side bottom takes the mark. He's 45 metres out. Now 40 as Bruce Revel stands on the mark.
That's why you want Josh Dacos up around the footy somewhere.
So most coaches would say never ever kick the ball to that position from where he kicked it from, because if you hang it up slightly a little bit too high, that ball shot down the other end, but it was just weighted perfectly.
Steele side bottom with all his experience. How Collingwood need it right now for his second and to keep them in it. He gives Collingwood a pulse. 2 goals apiece so far in this final term. And Brisbane's leaders cut back to 21 points, 13-8-86 to Collingwood 10-5-65. The crowd posted at 82,326 fans. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport with Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford.
Good game of footy this, Daniel.
Yeah, they're in full voice, the 82,000. They're having a great time. It's a terrific battle. It has been all night long. It's ebbed and flowed all through the night. And you expect the Magpies to keep coming. I love the Josh Dacos into the middle thing. Nick's in there as well, Pendlebury and Josh. Josh's performance a couple of weeks ago against the Gold Coast was electric. And you played that card again tonight. All of it, and showed dividends straight away.
A try to the Wallabies, 13-zip, 55 minutes into that game against the Lions.
Earlier tonight, the Vixens getting over the line in a thriller in the Super Netball Grand Final. We might yet have a thriller on our hands here at the restart. McCluggage, who's been terrific tonight, gave it to Neil, to Levi Ashcroft, slips away from Nick Dacos, helicopters a kick up toward half forward. Perryman knocked it away from Bailey. It spilt to Bailey, trying to fashion a kick on the outside of the boot to Will Ashcroft, and Houston played interference. Got it to Perryman. Collingwood come bouncing back down this southern stand wing. Now Josh Dakosh measures his kick, looking for Elliott. Long puts his head over it, tackled by Zorko. Pies fans will want high contact. They won't get it. Ball up right half forward. Collingwood into attack, trailing by 19 points. 17 gone, final term. The Pies playing for top spot with a win.
They'll have to be masters of the close finish once more. Collingwood from here. Lockie Neal back to Levi Ashcroft. Kicks up towards the wing. Logan Morris brings it down, but it's Houston of Collingwood. He gathers, kicks out to the boundary side. And Sidebottom takes the mark. Collingwood's only multiple goal scorer in the match, as he has it centre wing on the Shane Warne stand side. Kicks a high ball inside 50. McStay's outnumbered. Harris Andrews blocked him out, and Wilmot takes the mark for Brisbane. Switches across half back, and Bruce Reville takes the mark.
Not sure whether it's Booze from Collingwood or Bruce from the Lions fans in attendance, and it might be both, to be fair.
Colin B, I reckon.
Bit of Porqueno Los Dos. As the Lions move it on, McCluggage to Berry. Berry drives it long. Morris! Not quite this time. Moore was with him every step and punched it out of play for a ball in. That 82,326. By my count, is the biggest home and away crowd the Lions have ever played in front of. So 76,995 against Richmond back in 2019 was their previous biggest. Ball will be tossed back in. Fort wins it down. Will Ashcroft is there. Deep forward for Brisbane. Pendlebury to Nick Dacos. Handball along the boundary line. Tapped it back in intelligently. Onto it in a flash was Quainer. Outside of the boot. Bashes it up the line. McStay punches it on. Wilmot can't take possession. Puts his head over it. Got caught in the tackle. Handball forward. Lions just surging it now. Reville handball to Will Ashcroft. He tumbles a kick forward. Hip with the target. Floating back is Darcy Cameron. Marks in an important spot. And the Lions still lead by 19. Collingwood with it deep in defence.
Darcy Cameron to Josh Dacos, who marks in the back pocket. Collingwood trying to find the right levers to pull. He switches it into the back pocket. Quainer takes the mark. Charging at him, Charlie Cameron. Around the boundary line, sends it up to Perryman. They have an avenue out now. Hand pass to the running Markov. Takes a bounce at right half back. Up the wing towards Jamie Elliott. Starcevich in front. Elliott rises and comfortably takes the mark. They need a few highlights that. As Elliott looks up inside 50, Bobby Hill says, I'll try and match you. He might have given away the free kick into the back of Dane Zorko. Gardner's down as well. As Bobby got away with that trick once, but not on this occasion.
Zorko will take it. Punt right into the ground. Defence for the Lions. 16 of 23 goals kicked to this end so far this evening. The All-Australian multiple time kicks up the line. Hipwood can't take the mark. Pendlebury does the roving on halfway for the Magpies. Handball to Dean. Handball to Josh Dacos, who pirouettes and spears a kick. He drills the kick to Elliott. Now out to Sidebottom. Right half forward. Kicks an absolute sack to full forward. They can't mark it. Reville picked it off. Bashes it up the middle for Brisbane. And they are out. Charlie Cameron wobbles it to Bailey. Can't take the mark at centre half forward. Stands up in the tackle. Handball on. Morris pokes it inside the forward 50. It's all the Pies though. Dean tracks it back inside the defensive arc. Calmly looks up and finds Houston. Thought about playing on. Gives the handball. He sold Josh Dacos up the river. And Rayner dragged into a stop. Right half forward for Brisbane. 21 gone final term. Brisbane 13-8. Collingwood 10-5. It's a 19-point Lions lead.
2 goals apiece so far in this final term. Fort gets it down to Will Ashcroft. Kick is smothered. Berry, hand pass out to McCluggage. Chips it backwards. Fletcher through traffic. Kicks down low for Logan Morris on the bounce. Charlie Dean taps it out of play in front. And a boundary throw in. Right forward pocket for the Brisbane Lions. Logan Morris with a career best 6 goals throughout the match. Henry Smith booted 3, 2 of which in the first quarter. The Brisbane Lions have taken control really since the latter stages of the second quarter, and Collingwood now face the task. Markov can't break clear as Lockie Neal lays the tackle. Another ball up in the right forward pocket for the Lions.
Joel Peterson, Matt Clinch, Nathan Burke, Daniel Harford and Poppy Penny with you. The game is there for the taking. Either way, these moments so crucial in deciding the outcome. Another to Brisbane seals it. Collingwood can really get their motors revving if they can pinch one here. We know they are the masters of the fast finish. Crisp is over the top of the pack, laying a tackle and a ball up at right half forward for Brisbane.
They're going to have to be real fast here.
They've only got 2 players forward of the ball. So even if it does come forward, Harris Andrews is putting it to the ground and Brisbane Lions players are getting there first.
Lead is 21 points for Brisbane. 22 gone final term. Another stoppage in front of the members. 65 metres out from the Lions goal. Fort reaches up. He's held the fort manfully again this evening. McCluggage ripped off it. Picked up by Neal. Extricates the footy as he does so well. Hands off to Will Ashcroft. Burns along the boundary line. Gives it to Morris. Now to Bailey. Into the open goal. Zach Bailey with 2. And the Brisbane Lions look like they'll be marching to victory at the scene of their greatest triumph. 14-8-92 to Collingwood 10-5-65. 23 minutes gone in the final term, and the Lions might be ready to exercise some demons from a couple of seasons ago.
Well, it's the other Ashcroft. It was Will in the second, it was Levi in the third, and now it's Will again with 9 possessions in this last quarter. He's been outstanding around the contest. Showing a bit of pace too.
Yeah, he did. What about the hands from Lockie Neal? Just so clean at ground level. That's what stood out all night long. Even when the Magpies had their ascendancy through that second term, Brisbane's ability to grab the pill off the deck and use it effectively stood out all night. That's the case there. Ashcroft's been awesome. Brother Levi's done his thing, and Lockie Neal's an absolute wizard when it comes to that.
3 goals to 2 the way the Lions way in this final term. Pendlebury out of the middle of the ground, kicks up towards Schultz, beaten for the footy by Fletcher, corralled by Membry, cuts back on his right, sends it up the wing. Lockie Neal just nudged Pendlebury in the end underneath it. It might work for Levi Ashcroft. Tackled by Lipinski, dribbles a kick up the wing. Logan Morris can't gather. Maynard can for Collingwood. Hand pass to Darcy Moore, inside 50. Fletcher rises in front of Schultz and takes the mark.
He's having a good 5 minutes, young Fletcher. The other thing Brisbane Lions do is they know exactly what 15 metres is. I reckon it goes 15 metres and 1 centimetre.
I don't think the Collingwood fans agree with them.
No.
I think that would be a fair...
Well, they haven't had one play on all night. They've just done it perfectly. When they've needed to, there's nothing on. They go 15 metres and 1 centimetre.
It's a great observation, that, Berkey, because you're 100% spot on. They know exactly how far to kick the ball. And it's really useful to know, because if you get called to play on for a short kick, it puts you under enormous pressure very quickly. You often turn the ball over straight away. So it's a great skill to have, to be able to identify the distance required. Sounds really simple, sounds stupid when you say it out loud, but it's absolutely critical skill.
Levi Ashcroft's kick knocked out of play. There's a few black and white supporters just trudging up the aisles, down by 27 with a couple of minutes left. Lockie Schultz, who started the game so brightly, bashes the footy on it by half back. Chris Blaze over the top of it, picked up by Nick Dacos, gives it away to Lockie Neal. Now the Lions in control. Berry to Zorko to McCluggage, a rare fumble from Hugh McCluggage. He let Maynard in. Now it's picked up by Nick Dacos, and the Magpies will come rocketing off half back. Here's Josh Dacos.
Nice to put it out in front of Bobby Hill. Wilmot in from the side, got a crucial touch, taps it to his own advantage. Elliott races after him. Wilmot wants the boundary line. He toe pokes it towards there. Umpire says...
Not a chance.
Umpire says...
Throw it in.
Throw it in. He didn't gesture at any stage.
There's no boundary umpire near him.
Yeah, the ball travelled too quickly. There's 2 on the one side too, and they still couldn't get there.
By the fingertips of Darcy Wilmot, as Bobby Hill was out. Collingwood have got it to half forward, but they trail by 27 points. Fort knocks it down into the path of Dunkley, through traffic, kicks up the Shane Warne stand wing. It bounces in front of Smith and Darcy Moore. Moore runs onto it. The Collingwood captain feeds a hand pass forward. Hill tries to tap it forward to his own advantage. And it rolls over the boundary line and out of play. Brisbane 14-8-92 to Collingwood 10-5-65. 26 and a half minutes gone, final term.
A lot more empty seats over in front of that boundary throwing.
Yes, there is. Sparsely populated. 82,000 plus here. Beautiful work at the stoppage between Neil and McCluggage. McCluggage with the deft handball over his head. The connection between the two of them is supreme. And now Rayner comes wide to Marshall. Marshall up to half forward to the big man Smith. 3 goals, the first 3 of his career. He hands it on to Marshall to give them something more to celebrate. He fluffs his lines. Out of bounds on the fall to the near side for the youngster. Brisbane by 27. It'll be their first win over Collingwood here at the MCG since 2014. So it's another hoodoo ticked off Chris Fagan's growing list.
From the throw-in, Cam Rayner gets a hand pass back to Zorko. Left half forward, Logan Morris isn't done with yet. He leads up and takes the mark in front of Braden Maynard. Hard against the boundary line in the left forward pocket. A career best 6 already tonight. He's keen to make it 7.
Fair chance you're going to give him 3 votes, Daniel.
I nearly dropped that line early. I didn't want to get into it early. Great work from you, Burke. By experience.
Regardless of what he does throughout his whole career, he'll be remembered for the player who played in the VFL, got takeaway, then featured in the AFL, and he has not looked back from that moment onwards for a career best 7th goal. Left forward pocket, Morris comes in and drags it to the left-hand side, out on the full.
2 votes.
Brisbane by 27 points.
Quaynor to bring it back into play. He comes across the defensive goal. Dean takes the mark. They battle bravely, Collingwood, but they haven't had enough tonight. It's dragged to a stop inside forward 50 for Brisbane, who lead by 27 points. They come to the MCG, the scene of their greatest triumph. And Chris Fagan's Lion Pack, they look hungry to hunt more September glory. Brisbane wins. They move within half a game of top spot, beating the Magpies by 27 points.
We will always fight for victory, like Fitzroy and Bears or a bull. All for one and one for all. We will answer to the call. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions, we'll kick the winning score. You'll hear a mighty roar.
The Brisbane Lions, they end a 4-game winning streak of Collingwood against them. They win their first game against the Pies since 2014, and it was on the back of 6 goals from their young emerging forward Logan Morris. 5 goals in the first quarter set it up. Collingwood hit the lead in that second term. Brisbane booting 7 goals in the second half to win by 27, and that a slice of September action, a taste of what's to come. Strap in, because finals is going to be all kinds of fun.
The Lions led by 20 points at quarter time, by a point at half time, by 19 at 3/4 time, and booted 3 goals to 2 in the final term to run out 27-point winners, 14,892 to Collingwood 10,565 in front of 82,326 fans. And after their heaviest defeat of the season to the Gold Coast Suns last week by 66 points, comes their greatest win of the season, and an emphatic response for Chris Fagan. Winners by 27 points here at the MCG. And Collingwood, the peloton has caught them. They've now lost 3 of their last 4, and they are equal with the Adelaide Crows on top of the ladder. And as Joel May mentioned, Brisbane now, the possibility they could fight for top spot with Sydney, Fremantle and Hawthorn in their run home. And the Magpies have a date with the Hawks on a Thursday night at the MCG. Logan Morris booted 6 for the winners, 3 goals to Henry Smith in his first game of the season, his 5th of his AFL career. The 22-year-old, 202 centimetre from South Australia. 2 goals to Cam Rayner, 2 goals to Zach Bailey, and an individual goal to Darcy Wilmot. While for Collingwood, 2 goals to Steele Sidebottom, individuals to De Goey, Elliott, Schultz, McStay, Hill, Membry, Dacos and Myercheck. The Brisbane Lions winners by 27 points at the MCG. Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke with their thoughts on ABC Sport.
Well, they were the better team for the night. So if you average it out through the quarters, they won 3 of the 4 quarters. They were the better team and deserved the victory. And the way they did it, Berkey, was through superior ground ball game, controlled the tempo when they needed to, and they had a couple of match winners forward, which certainly helps on any given occasion. But I think they came into this game, we talked about this at the start of the night, such a disappointing outcome and performance last week against the Suns. And you heard Chris Fagan through the week, he was very strong that better not have been us, what showed up last week. So you knew you were going to get a response from a team like the Brisbane Lions. But I was incredibly impressed with the way they moved the ball and were able to bring each other into the game and catch out the Collingwood defence, open the ground up from time to time and shift the defence and get them off balance a bit, which provided some opportunities. But just wait and draw the defenders out from the Magpies and feed the ball to the support runners all the way through. It was a terrific offensive powerhouse performance from the Lions when they got their hands on the footy. And then they were able to rally behind the ball as well. Outside of that second quarter, they didn't get beaten too many times behind the ball. So it was a pretty complete performance from all phases of the game for the Brisbane Lions.
Plus 86 possessions to the Brisbane Lions. Ground ball gets, which is a really important stat these days, 99 to 69 in favour of the Lions, and clearance is 50 to 36. Now, the big worry for me for Collingwood is that second rung of midfielder. You look at Ned Long only had the 9, the Pinsky the 17, and Chris the 15. They were completely outdone when that ball hit the ground today. You're talking the possessions to the Brisbane Lions. As I said, 86 more. They just had no factor in this game. The ball hit the ground. It was the Lions getting there first. It was their ability to share with their hands to get the ball inside 50 in a far better fashion than what Collingwood were. Collingwood hardly can remember really good chains of handballs that they put together. Everything that they did well came from a foot skill of a Dacos hitting somebody down the field. It was just a complete domination of the ground ball of the Brisbane Lions. So that's something for Craig McRae. He has to fashion a second rung of midfielders that's going to be competitive against good teams, because at the moment they're not.
Yeah, that's the work that he's got to go into now. Chris Fagan will be wrapped, obviously, with that performance. The Pies now lose their spot on the top of the table.
Adelaide will have it in round 21.
The Crows have got that, so that's just something else. And then all of a sudden Geelong will see this with a win tomorrow, perhaps against Port Adelaide at home. Puts them a game behind top spot percentage. So all of a sudden things start to get a bit funky at the top of the 8 as opposed to the bottom, which most of us have been focusing on.
Talk about the response that Chris Fagan got from the Lions. So last week, dominated around stoppage by the Gold Coast Suns. So 13 goals to 3 from stoppage clearances last week. Tonight, they outscored Collingwood from that source by 27. And it was a noticeable difference. But they've clearly gone to work on that facet of their game. And you know, to Berkey's point, they have got enviable midfield depth. When you can put the Ashcrofts through there, either one of them just a pinch hit for a little while, and McCluggage and Neal just almost continue to improve. Their midfield's a pretty scary prospect, the Lions.
It is. And then what you say, we don't need time and space in midfield because we are so good in tight. Let's bring 2 more players up to the stoppage, and Zach Bailey comes up and Cam Rayner comes up. They have 11 and a goal and 8 and a goal in that third quarter, just to make it more congested and to open up the forward line for Logan Morris and Charlie Cameron and these guys to work in, stretch out the Collingwood defence, which they don't like having done to them. So it was a masterful coaching performance there by Chris Fagan tonight as well.
Yeah, you talk about the contest and what happened last week. You go over all numbers tonight, plus 17 clearance, plus 22 contested possession, plus 30 ground balls, which is what Berkey was talking about there. So all those times that the ball hit the deck tonight here at the MCG, it was all Brisbane.
They're waiting for Darcy Ford to go in.
In his 50th game, he's trying to usher them to go in front of him.
He was having none of it.
No, you're going first, Darcy.
That's fantastic.
Like pretty low-key operator, big Darcy Ford.
In his 50th game, they got him eventually to lead the Brisbane Lions off the ground, and they have enjoyed some of these moments with their fans, and it's no surprise that Logan Morris is the last to still getting selfies and high-fiving Brisbane fans as the team makes their way from the MCG. So, despite the top 9 sides having been set, it sets us up for a curious last 3 rounds of the home and away season. Last 3.1 day, because we have, as you said, Geelong and Port Adelaide tomorrow, and the Cats with Port Adelaide, Essendon, Sydney and Richmond. So it might come back to who can win and win by the biggest margin to finish on top. And the Brisbane Lions have done that. They have Sydney, Fremantle and Hawthorn. So 2 tough games in the 3 matches to finish, but a big win tonight in terms of their September aspirations, in terms of their confidence, in terms of trying to get a home final. Poppy Penny's down in the Brisbane Lions rooms. We'll take it down to you, Poppy, as the players make their way in.
Yeah, they've made their way in through 2 separate entrances, so some of the players are having to make their way through family and friends and people trying to take photos and selfies as they gather up for the song. So we're just waiting for the last of the players to get in. There's people going and hugging and kissing their family and saying hello and high fives and that sort of thing. Just waiting for Josh Dunkley to join the circle, and then they'll be ready to sing the song. Here we go. The Brisbane Lions are singing the song. Who are they waiting for now? They're all getting ready. Here we go.
The Brisbane Lions winners by 27 points, 14-8-92 to Collingwood 10-5-65. It is the Lions' 14th win of the season, so 14 wins, 5 losses and a draw. That draw against North Melbourne once upon a time was seen as a bit of an opportunity that was let go, and now all of a sudden it puts them in an interesting position depending on what happens with the remaining matches, because they will have that half a game advantage over the other sides in terms of who features in the top 4 and potentially in the top 2. On the SMS 0437 774 774. Fagan has done an outstanding job with Brisbane. I think he was in full admiration as he stood on the boundary line. As he made reference to, Harvey said that hasn't been us in the past, and he's got such pride in this playing group, so it was no surprise that he backed them in, and tonight they responded to that, including a player in his first game for the season, his 5th of his career, Henry Smith. He kicked 2 goals in the first quarter, finished with 3 for the match. So alongside Logan Morris with 6, a career high, found some answers tonight.
Well, they did, and I don't think they would have planned on Big Hank kicking 3. But I reckon they'd be very appreciative that he did and helped set the game up for the Brisbane Lions in that first term. Obviously, it was still a bit tight at half-time, so it was a long way from being over from there. But, yeah, I think your point is about the response that he was hoping to get and the response that he did get. It says a bit about what this team think about Chris Fagan too. And the respect they have for him. Now, they would have been really disappointed with their outcome and output last week against the Suns. We touched on that before. But to hear Chris Fagan speak about that really openly through the week, and Joel picked it up at the start of the coverage as well, said a bit that this had been discussed. This wasn't just something a coach saying anything off the cuff. That they had enormous respect for Chris Fagan and what the performance he expects them to put out there in a given week, and they let him down last week. So they wanted to do something about that, and he was happy to put it on them too, which I think is fantastic. But to see the response is nothing short of brilliant. They earn a lot of credit, I reckon, for this win tonight.
When they do have that performance where they lower their colours and they come up against a good side the next week, they tend to bounce back too. So you think of that Melbourne game earlier in the year. So they drew to North Melbourne, then they lost to Melbourne at home, got run over the top of in that final quarter. They came back, played Hawthorn here, who were going really well at the time, and won. They did the same thing against the Cats a couple of weeks ago too, coming off 2 losses. So they can muster it when they need to, and they did it again tonight.
The Lions by 27 points over Collingwood. Back down to Poppy Penny.
Yeah, I'm in the Victorious Lions rooms, and I'm 5'1", and I probably couldn't have chosen a taller player to talk to. I'm talking to Henry Smith. 3 goals on your return game. How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, first game back of the year, like you said, it was good to be involved and obviously come out with the win.
It was the biggest crowd the Lions have played against in the home and away season. What did it feel like out there? It was pretty hot in the kitchen.
It sure was. Definitely, the Fire supporters come out in big force. You can definitely tell. But look, we try to block out that noise and come at him early and kind of put on the back foot, which we did. Come on with the win. So,
is that a conversation that you guys have within the club, within the team, around the Magpie Army? There's so many of them, and they pack the G every week. Was that a conversation that you guys had pre-game?
Yeah, it definitely was. Can't hear this anymore. It sure was. Look, we know, like I said, they try to get the Magpie Army. The Magpie Army try and get them into the game. Try to put them on the back foot, and we did that. So,
Obviously, this is a really big for your season. This now puts you right up back towards fighting for top of the ladder. How important will a home final potentially be for you guys?
Yeah, look, it is, but we just try and take it 1 week at a time, as cliche as it is. Look, we got this, I think it's the Swans next week, so we move on pretty quickly from this. But yeah, obviously each win is pretty important at this time of year.
First game back, at one point, I think it was in the third quarter or early in the fourth, you came off and went straight down onto your haunches. You looked absolutely gassed. How are you feeling? How's the body?
Oh, look, I had a pretty tough block in rehab, so I do feel pretty fit, but yeah, at times it can get to you, and yeah, I'm just getting the big breaths in, but yeah, not too bad actually.
I'm down in the Lions rooms with Henry Smith, his first game back for the year. I'm going to throw upstairs to Matt Clinch, Joel Peterson, Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford.
Henry, well done today, mate. Nathan Burke here.
Can't hear.
You got me? Hello?
No, I can't.
Maybe
Hold on 2 seconds, guys. Small technical issue.
Handball over maybe your headset, and then you'll be able to hear the questions from Daniel Harford and Nathan Burke. Henry Smith is with us in the Brisbane Lions rooms after their 27-point victory over Collingwood. You got us okay now?
Yeah, you're right. Back now. Yep.
Yeah, Henry, Nathan Burke here, mate. Well done tonight, buddy. I'm interested in the mood during the week. Was it a bit of a grumpy mood that, hey, we need to fight back because that was pretty ordinary? Or was it you know what, let's get really upbeat and get down there and tackle Collingwood?
Yeah, look, it was pretty grumpy actually. We weren't very happy with our contest last week against the Suns. There were a few actions that isn't our footy. So yeah, we just want to come back and beat him in the hunt. And yeah, to set us up for a good last couple of weeks of the year.
Yep, and like you came out firing in that first quarter, then Collingwood turned the tables on you in the second. So the mood at half-time, was it, hey, we can't let that happen, or let's get back to doing what we did in the first?
Yeah, exactly that. We just wanted to get back to doing what we do best. I don't know, it didn't feel like it was all on their terms in the second quarter. Like we still had the 1 point lead, I think it was, which we were happy with, and we knew we could get back to our best footy, which we did in the end, and yeah, it was a good night in the end. So
it was a great night, Henry. Daniel Harford, mate, well done to you and the lads. I'm interested in your preparation. When did you find out that you were playing this week?
It was on the Tuesday actually, so a bit earlier than usual. He's come to me and said, "Don't be surprised if you're in," which is always good. A bit earlier, bit more time to prepare. Yeah, obviously I was pretty confident coming off a good month or so in the VFL. And yeah, just happy to come over with the win and build a bit of confidence in myself. Yeah,
and the VFL's a great proving ground for players to go back and get some confidence, get some form and find their fitness. But walking into the MCG in front of 82.5 is a very different experience. Did you think it might have taken you a bit longer to get going? Because you certainly jumped out of the blocks early.
Oh, thank you. Look, no, I was always confident in myself. Like, obviously, it is a bigger crowd, 85 at the G. But we just we have a good culture here, and I was confident coming straight into the team that all the teammates had my back, so I was pretty confident, to be honest.
We heard Fags through the week talk about, it might have even been yesterday, talk about this game and not beating Collingwood at the MCG since 2014, and that was something that hadn't been ticked off by this group under his leadership. Was that a focus for the players? Was it brought up pre-game?
Yeah, it certainly was. We always have those little, milestones to tick off. I think it was 2014, round 21 or something, so we did have that. We talked about it a fair bit, and yeah, luckily we got it done tonight and we can tick that one off.
Henry Smith with us in the Brisbane rooms. Henry, what's on the list? What is there left to do?
Look, I'm not actually too sure. We take it 1 week at a time, and we'll see what it is next week.
Tell us about your season, because it's been injury interrupted, I think concussion in there, a foot issue as well. How have you managed to sort of keep things rolling personally in what's been a bit of an up and down year?
Yeah, it has been a little bit up and down. I had the shoulder surgery in the off-season, came back, got a bit of form, then I had 2 concussions, 1 game back, and then you got a foot stress fracture. So I've just gone back to rehab for about 12 weeks and got a bit stronger, a bit fitter, and I guess built a bit of confidence as well in my body. So I'm feeling really good, in a good headspace at the moment, and keen to take the next month or so.
You're a South Australian lad, grew up in the Adelaide Hills, played your footy at Blackwood for the Mighty Woods in the Hills Football League. Tell us a bit about your sort of footy upbringing. How did you get into the game, and then what are your memories of playing at Blackwood?
Blackwood, the Mighty Woods. So I started playing there probably when I was 5 years old. Played there till under 16s maybe. Got into Woodville West Torrens program down there in Sandford. did that for a couple of years and luckily got picked up to the Lions. But yeah, it's a great club, the Blackwood Footy Club. I owe a lot to them and can get back there soon in the off-season.
Henry, it's Matt Clinch upstairs. Obviously, first game of the season. Did you feel like you were ready for this opportunity when you got it?
Yeah, I actually did. Like I said, I just try to build confidence in myself, and I wasn't too nervous coming into the game. I just honestly had a lot of excitement from all the time in rehab and just watching the boys play all year. I just wanted to be back out here and be involved, so I was happy to do that.
And what was the chemistry like with Logan Morris? He obviously kicks a career high 6 goals tonight, and between the two of you, it's quite the night.
Oh, Logan's an absolute freak. He can kick him from anywhere. He can take him from anywhere. Yeah, he's good to have up there. We've got a good forward line up there at the moment in Hippie, Moz, Pumba. Anyone can go up there and kick goals on their night. So, yeah, we got good chemistry and keen to see what we can do back half the year.
There was a somewhat interesting moment in the last quarter where I think Logan got a free kick and Camarena took the advantage and dribbled it through from the left forward pocket. It seemed the right move in the end, but we're all wondering whether that was the right option. Where were you in the vicinity of that moment?
I was actually on the bench and you should have seen Fags. He was blowing his head off. But no, I went through, so we're happy with it.
All smiles in the end, as it was with such a significant win tonight. Congratulations, Henry, on what a game tonight and a win. Enjoy it and good luck next week.
Thank you very much.
Henry Smith joining us and on the SMS coming through already. Lovely bloke, great game, and giving away all the inner sanctum secrets exclusively to the ABC. That's the beauty. Half of when we get them after they've only played a handful of games, not so much media training, and it's...
That'll be coached out of him in 3 weeks.
Yes, whatever you're willing to share.
I love the fact that they do it, though, and they put it on the table. Like, the fact that Chris Fagan brought it up unprompted at his press conference shows that they clearly want to lean into that side of things. And then for their players to say, yeah, we talked about it, it was brought up as a bit of a focus, to put that on the table, it's on the agenda, it's a really clear added motivation for this game tonight. I love that.
Yeah, well, you've got to have things to cling to as a playing group and for coaching staff. You've done it, Burke. You've brought up these things through your time as a player and a coach. There's little markers along the way. They're nice just to have as something to aim towards. Yes, you want to aim towards kicking more goals and winning games and all that sort of stuff. But if you've got little markers along the way or things you haven't been able to achieve, it does. Just gives you that extra focus point, which I think helps.
Beautifully balanced with the cliche of 1 week at a time.
Dropped a couple in, yeah. Good boy. Learning.
So how significant is it for the reigning premiers to show what they are capable of doing, to come here to the MCG, that record, having not beaten Collingwood since 2014, the memories of last year, finishing the last Saturday in September as the premiers, and to remind themselves that at their best they can do it.
And they play their best footy here. That's the key. They're going to be playing finals here. They're probably going to go right through to that pointy end of the finals, and this game tonight against the team who were nominally on top of the ladder and beat them so convincingly and play so well. Dominated 3 quarters, really. It was only that second quarter where Collingwood got themselves on top. So to dominate for 3 quarters, they're getting on that plane. They probably don't need a plane to get back to Brisbane. They'll just fly back. They'll be that ecstatic.
They won 5 in a row here now, I think. You go back to the preliminary final of last year, so preliminary final, grand final. One earlier in the year, they played Hawthorn here, and now they've beaten Collingwood here as well. So I think they hadn't beaten Hawthorn here in an even longer period of time since those great sides, the early 2000s, maybe 2004 odd was the last time they'd beaten Hawthorn here. So, they hadn't won down at Geelong. They just keep ticking these things off the list for Chris Fagan.
The confidence goes through the roof tonight. I reckon. We talked about this at the start. Like the last month, it's moving days. It's got to get going at this back end of the year to put yourself in position, obviously, but also show yourself you're good enough. And Collingwood at the G is one of the biggest tests in footy, in front of 82.5 5,000 Collingwood fans, largely. It's a big effort, and to stay in the moment, to understand what they needed to do, to be so good at ground level. That's what's really stood out to me tonight. The numbers back it up, but that was a real big thing for me to see what they did once the ball hit the deck tonight. Yeah.
We know Neil, McCluggage, Dunkley, they were always going to get their hands on the footy. They had 36, 34 and 31. And Will Ashcroft had 30 there as well. But Fletcher jumping in with 22. Bailey, who had a really poor first term, comes out and has 21. Berry 20. Zorko 19. Wilmot off the half-back line I thought was really, really good tonight with 19. Rayner, slow start, ends up with 15. Charlie Cameron didn't have a great game tonight, but still 13 possessions. When they play well, they get an even spread of contribution. They have guys that really up the top but those guys on the next rung and the next rung below that still contribute, and that's what they had tonight, whereas Collingwood had their couple at the top and then it just fell off a cliff, the rest of their contribution.
Yeah, they got a few question marks, and I talked earlier about the outside players, the role players, the soldiers for the Magpies, and what they would produce tonight. You look at them, they didn't do much. Dan Houston had a bad night. Ned Long had an average night. Hoskin Elliott had an average night. Membry's the ball wasn't there cleanly very often, so he was sort of out of the play a bit along with Jamie Elliott. They had 5 and 8 5 and 8 respectively, so didn't touch the ball much. McStay had no influence. Bobby Hill came on late. Myercheck had no influence. So the players that sort of you rely on, particularly in the front half of the ground for the Magpies to really impact games, had no influence on the contest whatsoever. So there's some questions to ask, I reckon, from Craig McRae and the match committee of the Magpies about what they do. That's 3 in the last 4 that they've dropped. Wouldn't have happened too many times, I wouldn't have thought, under Craig McRae then.
No, they had 10 players who didn't get into double figures, whereas the Lions had 6, but 3 of them had 9. And a 7 and a double 5, so they weren't far off, but they just, the ones down below, McStay 3, like Hill came on late, he only had the 4, but as you said, Membry, Myercheck 6, didn't have a big game. Hoskin Elliott has got to get more than 6 possessions. Markov just with the 8, 3 kicks, 5 handballs. Elliott, Dean 8, Moore 8. Ned Long, he's a midfielder. He's got to get more than 9, and he went at 0% kick efficiency. So if I'm Tommy Mitchell, I'm having a big week on the track.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, that's right. That was the decision they made, wasn't it? Ned Long in for Tom Mitchell. He's got a proven record on big occasions, Tom, so he'd be pushing pretty hard, I reckon.
So they've got some players, obviously, Collingwood, that are going to bolster them. So Jeremy Howe will stabilise their defence, and that intercepting mark they certainly missed tonight. Bo McCreary adds that X factor and the pace that'll come in. Lachlan Sullivan's season is done.
He's a consistent second runger, so they need him.
Howe is really important structurally, no doubt about that. And then you look at the players that were down there, they had to move McStay down there one stage. Charlie Dean wasn't having a great night. Darcy Moore had to do a lot and cover off a lot, so he caught in between a lot of action tonight, Darcy Moore, because he didn't quite know where to go at certain times. So key position-wise, down back, behind the ball, without Jeremy Howe, it does change their look significantly and their roles. So they're so accustomed to just having Jeremy Howe as that come-in floater or the defender that just comes in, runs off and belts the ball through. But when he's not there, somebody else has to fill that role. It's not natural for a lot of these guys.
And clearly they think they have a vulnerability there. So no Howe at the moment, but you think about, well, if they're targeting Jack Silvani, so why are they targeting him? Because 2023, they lose Nathan Murphy, who played that kamikaze intercept at all costs to the 3rd, 4th tall. They do not have that in that team at the moment. They've tried to fill it with the likes of Charlie Dean. They put McStay back there. Howe plays a little bit of that role, but he's so much more valuable to them offensively. It feels like that's where they think they may have a weakness.
Jack Silvani's price just went up.
Yeah.
Tonight. He's had a good night, Jack.
Him and Craig are going on a second date. There is no doubt.
He's had a good night without doing a thing.
Yep.
Jack Silvani tonight.
He might get a text from Craig later on. You up?
I sort of feel like Chris got to be watching Collingwood's forward line thinking, well, if we got a chance to play against them, that wouldn't be a bad opportunity as well. Like, there's certain sides come September who are going to shape up probably better than others, and the Magpies and their connection inside forward 50, you can just tell there's been guys that have been in, guys that have been out, and it's just not quite there as to where it was earlier in the season, even the form of Jamie Elliott. Bobby Hill was the sub, and clearly a very strategic plan with he and Jordan Nagoe, 3/4 from Geordie, 1.5 from Bobby Hill, but it's just not quite with Dan McStay going behind the ball to try and help out. The chemistry and the cohesiveness, and then when you think about the midfield smashing they had, 51 clearances to 34, that's a lot of pressure you're then putting on your back line.
Absolutely, and if I'm Matty Nix, I'm looking at that and going, our bloke's forward to the
field. The other one I was thinking
might look all right here.
So, with Collingwood, and I'm interested in both your thoughts on this, is it more issues or upside? Do they have players that have scope to improve and they could reach their best in September, or are they on the decline heading to this time of the year?
Yeah, I'm a touch worried about Collingwood. A month ago, I had zero problems with Collingwood, zero thoughts that they might be vulnerable. We've got to get to prelim, and who knows what happens in those sort of occasions, admittedly. But I'm a touch worried about seeing them tonight and how they were broken down behind the ball, how they were smashed at the ball. I was a bit concerned about, and then had no influence forward of it. That concerned me. And then it was the game against, it was the Gold Coast game that worried me too, I must admit. They got absolutely mauled, and bar for a mercurial quarter by Josh Dacos, they were nowhere near that game. So I reckon there's some concerns structurally and personnel-wise at the Magpies at the moment, Berkey.
Absolutely. It's tonight, the kicking efficiency wasn't great from either team, 57 and 61%. Finals are like that, though. Finals are very much pressure, and this was probably the closest to a final game that I've seen for a long time. And their midfield was lacking in that finals atmosphere, and that's what worries me a little bit. They need some more polish around that middle, because you can't. Two Dacos has had 29. You can't expect them to have 45 each in a final and carry you. Pendlebury, he had 22, 8 and 14. So a lot of handballs, that sort of thing. So they need some more good ball users and players who are going to link up with a handball that they don't have at the moment.
On the SMS, actually on Twitter, Sir Swamp Thing, who does all the statistical side of the game, Logan Morris is the youngest player to kick 6+ goals in an AFL game at the MCG since Lance Franklin in 2006.
Good stat.
So Logan Morris, 20 years of age, in his 38th game of footy. He now moves from 34 goals at the start of the match to 40 for the season.
Pick 31. Pick 31.
Bargain buy.
He kicked 5 3 weeks in a row not long ago, didn't he?
Twice.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 in a row. Yeah.
5 against GWS, 5 against Geelong, and now 6 against Collingwood.
He hasn't grown into his
punches
body
in
yet
bunches.
He's still sort of puppy fattish.
He's athletic though, isn't he?
That? Yeah.
I love watching him move around the ground. He throws himself into everything.
And super sticky hands. Yep. And he always has. I mean, I called him a little bit at national championships level, and he didn't get a massive run at it with Vic Metro, so he didn't really get to showcase. But when you saw him, the way that he attacks the ball, his balance in the air and that kind of thing, you knew there was something there. But I don't think even the most optimistic of scouts would have seen what he has delivered.
Yeah, well, these bigger blokes often take a bit of time, but if you've seen that earlier, they're the ones you've got to take a bit of a risk on sometimes, those guys. It's not even a risk, it's calculated investment. Yeah. You might have to sit on it for a little bit and watch it grow, but when you get the good stuff, it's going to be really good, and you pay a price for that.
And Rod Jamison's title as the best player to come out of the Werribee Centrals Football Club. He's under threat. Sorry, Jamo, but he's closing in. He's probably got a premiership still to win and that kind of thing. I
reckon the voice of the G, the great Tony Shebeki, might have played at Werribee Centrals.
Oh, hello.
Well, the former voice of the G doesn't do it anymore.
On the SMS 0437774774, Kevin says the Vixens demonstrated tonight the bias enjoyed by Melbourne teams when the National Grand Final played in Melbourne. Well done to the Lions, but good luck. Of course, the West Coast Fever, I think, had a similar arrangement, but the Melbourne Vixens prevailed 59 goals to 58 tonight. Mikey from Bendigo says also the Lions have gone undefeated in Victoria during the home and away season for the first time. Great for the old Fitzroy fans. And we mentioned that Henry Smith one. Thanks for the call. Go Lions. That's from Anne-Marie from Dandenong. P.S. Commiserations to my Pies family members. And the Onewood drove into the rough tonight. That's from Bill. I assume that's around Collingwood. Sia from Tasmania. Great result for Collingwood. De Goey and Hill will only get better. Howe, McCreary and Frampton are all close. And the possibility, also on the SMS, of 3 Victorian teams only in the top 8. Well, yep. Everything's still a possibility, with depending on what happens with Hawthorn and the Western Bulldogs, but we shall see.
I wonder what our man, who was our man from Reservoir? Who's a Dave from Reservoir. Do you reckon he's smiling? Is he happy as a Fitzroy supporter?
He'd be knocking on doors, I reckon, in Reservoir at the moment in his Lions jumper. He'd just be wanting. Have you got any flour? Dave, it's 10:30. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Winning Bickies.
So Brisbane bounced back from their disappointing loss to the Gold Coast Suns last week by 66 points. They defeat the Magpies by 27 points here at the MCG, while Collingwood have lost 3 of their last 4. Poppy Penny's made her way to the Magpies rooms. Poppy, what's it like down there?
Yes, slightly less joyous than it was in the Brisbane Lions rooms, but the players have already gone into their post-match meeting, which is why we're not speaking to any of them at the minute. They basically, by the time I got down here, there were players finishing the last of catching up with family and friends and a little bit of club media, and then they've gone straight into that meeting already. Lots of players, when I got down here, already sort of changed into their trackies, ready to, I suspect, leave as soon as this meeting is done. So there's still quite a few family and friends, and there were sort of kids kicking the footy around the rooms, and there was sort of still a bit of a joyous vibe. And I think last weekend I was in the Melbourne rooms after that sort of last quarter that St Kilda put on, and this is definitely not as dire straits as that was. There's still a lot of laughter and positivity in these rooms. Obviously, they're still way up in the pointy end of the ladder, but the players have already been dragged into a meeting not half an hour after that match finished.
Thanks, Poppy. Thanks for your contributions throughout the night. Brisbane winners by 27 points.
They'll forget change pretty quickly and head across back to their training base and do the recovery over there after.
I was going to say, no shower? Is that a new thing?
Well, now, you're a man at local level. You should know what's going on in the shower scene. Not that you're watching too much action in there, but the young blokes these days, Berkey, they don't shower. They just get in their kit, they get in the car and go home.
We fine anyone who doesn't have a shower, they get fined $2. That's where we're at. We're going to fine players $2 for not having a shower.
What's going on? It's the best part of the day.
No,
the shower at the end.
Go. No shower.
No, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, young people. Hang your heads in shame.
Anything else you want to add to on tonight's game, or are we happy to move on?
No, well done. It was a good game of footy. Well done, both teams. It was a really good game of footy to watch. It was finals-like atmosphere, and at the end of the day, Brisbane handled it better than what Collingwood did.
All right, so Nathan Burke and Daniel Harford with their thoughts on tonight. Still to come, the 3-2-1 for the ABC Footballer of the Year. But earlier today, the Sydney Swans defeated the Bombers by 14 points, 9-14-68 to Essendon 7-12-54. We touched on the efforts of Brodie Grundy, who got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year for his 39 disposals, 32 hit-outs and 13 clearances. The most ever disposals for a player over 200 centimetres. And Phil Pryor from the ABC Sport team caught up with Brodie post-game.
I've got the star ruckman for the Sydney Swans, Brodie Grundy, with me. Brodie, congratulations. Another really strong individual performance, and you guys got the win.
Yeah, thank you. It was a little bit inconsistent by us, and we'll have to sharpen things up for next week.
You had 39 disposals tonight. Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't until Errol said at the end of the game that he wished he gave me the one on the far wing for 40, apparently. So, yeah, I was quite shocked.
What is going so well for you this year? You're once again obviously in All-Australian calculations. I know you probably want to be a little bit modest around that, and obviously there's some stiff competition, but you're obviously having another great season.
Yeah, thank you. I've just been trying to focus on my process and executing that each week, and I think I've been able to do that, and the results have taken care of itself. So I feel just really clear and supported by the coaching staff and my teammates to express myself within my role, and that's just what I'm trying to do.
Your new head coach, a first-year head coach, is one of the best ruckmen we've ever seen. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I guess I was fortunate enough to be under his tutelage last year and worked really hard on my ruck craft, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in. And he just, obviously the player that he was, I think it gives me potentially a bigger scope in my role to try and get the footy and impact. And I just feel really supported in that role. And obviously having a champion ruckman as a coach really helps.
Enjoy the win, and thanks so much for your time.
Cool, thank you.
Phil Pryor there with Brodie Grundy off the back of his 39 disposals. So the Swans back on the winners list. The Gold Coast Suns also recorded an 84-point victory over the Tigers. 16-11-107 to Richmond 2-11-2-11, that is, 23. So their 13th win of the season. The Gold Coast Suns are now knocking on the door of the top 4. They're in 5th spot behind Geelong, but have a game in hand. Ben King booted 4 goals. Bailey Humphries with 3. And Noah Anderson with 38 disposals got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. So the Suns with 10 goals to 2 after half-time. It feels like they are building, and for Damien Hardwick, the indications are they're going to get to September and then see what they can do. How much of a threat can they be?
I reckon they're a big threat. They are full of energy. They're a really direct, strong running, skillful team. They'll be really tough at the contest, the Suns. Look at the guy, the bull. I mean, Matty Rowell is just such a good player. I love watching him play. He's an animal. And he sort of is the foundation of their contest game, but the support he's got around him is growing week by week. I think they're a real threat. If they can lock in a top 4 spot, then the prelim's not out of the action, and who knows what happens from there.
So all of a sudden the Suns and the Crows looming in season 2025. And the Demons 83-point winners over the West Coast Eagles. Their best third quarter of the season with 10 goals to 3. Their biggest win under Simon Goodwin. The biggest score, 21-13, 139 of the Eagles, 8-8-56. Bailey Fritsch booted 4 goals. Jamie Cripps kicked 2 for the Eagles. But, for Melbourne, how do you try and read them at the moment? It's a disappointing season. There's so many questions that need to be answered at the end of the season. Most notably, Simon Goodwin wants to probably know what the direction of the club is, and they're awaiting a CEO which will start at the club at some stage as Paul Guerra comes in.
I have a worry about Melbourne in that what I saw with West Coast Eagles when they win the flag, 2018,
Yep.
They hung on to the premiership players for too long and didn't bite the bullet, and Gaff and a few other guys, they just kept playing them. And then when they left, there was a hole. And I'm hoping Melbourne don't fall into that same trap and be too loyal to those blokes that won the flag not that long ago, who aren't playing good football at the moment, and be really ruthless and make some cuts, even though you did win a flag for us, which is why I love what Richmond are doing. They had triple premiership players, but they've gone, no, for the betterment of this club, we're going to go down to go up, and we're going to be harsh, and we're going to have a plan. I just don't see Melbourne having that plan that the Tigers have, and they're heading West Coast way, unfortunately.
And even if they had a plan, they may be so financially limited in what they can do because of the nature of some of those contracts that it makes it very difficult for them.
Yep. And it's a bad time to be on the slide. With Tassie coming in and all the opportunities that you'll lose because of that, if you are bad and you're sliding at the moment and you can't arrest that and then springboard back up in the next 2 years, then life's going to be tough for a while, I reckon. That's a 5-year... Once the Tassie boys come in, and the girls too in the women's competition, once they come in, the boys, it's a 5-year window where you won't be able to improve. It's going to be really... Unless you can get some free agents, and we know that whilst free agencies are really... nice thing on the whiteboard, it's only really benefiting the good teams.
They're just up in the air at the moment. The off-field, the executive's up in the air. Their home base is up in the air. Is it Caulfield? Is it Casey? Is it Punt Road?
Yeah. It's a good point.
Just a lot up in the air going on, and if you're trying to attract players at your club, well, that's tough.
That's a good point. Having a stable base, off-field and training base, such a draw card these days. We hear everyone talk about it. Melbourne's the worst positioned club in the competition for that.
How do you attract players to any club, any business, if they don't know where they're going to be working?
Yep. So you bring someone over, you take them through the Western Bulldogs, brand new facility, absolutely ripping facility, 50 metres by 35 metre indoor area. You take them down to Dingley with Hawthorn's new facility down there, or you keep going extra half an hour out to Windy Casey.
Must be a good day with traffic.
Yeah. Out to Windy Casey, where you've got none of that. You've got no area to kick the ball inside. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's tough. It's tough, absolutely tough. But they need to get a plan. Who knows that they may have one, but they need to enact it really, really quickly.
I think there is movement in the Caulfield Racecourse administration base. I think there is some movement there in the last little while, which would give them a home. They need a home. I reckon it's a great call. They need a home, and then to sort out their off-field, the Prez and the CEO need to come in and sort this out.
All right, a rapid fire 3, 2 and 1 to come. The Super Netball, here was how the closing stages took place courtesy of Fox Sports.
Oh, gee, the fans can feel it, folks. They can feel it. The Melbourne Vixens, they're going to hold on. Jerome Mann knows it. 5 seconds, they go long. And the underdogs have become unstoppable as the Melbourne Vixens go from bridesmaid to Suncorp Super Netball champions.
59-58 was the full-time score as the Melbourne Vixens won their 4th premiership title And for the West Coast Fever, who had been undefeated in their last 13 games, it wasn't to be. Better news for the Wallabies, who prevailed over the British and Irish Lions. Here's Quentin Hull with the call.
Australia has got better the longer the series has gone. The Lions do score off this goal line charge. And Ellis Geen just got over. Finn Russell kicks a quick conversion. That is the end of the Test match. It's the end of the Test match, and Australia has claimed a morale-boosting victory in the final leg of this dramatic series. It finishes Australia 22, British and Irish Lions 14. The Lions win the series 2-1.
So after the heartbreak of defeat here in Melbourne, they claim victory in Sydney, 22 points to 14. Quentin Hull with the call there. And in Singapore at the World Aquatics Championship, Cam McAvoy won gold in the 50-metre freestyle. It was the 11th fastest time to claim it, 21.14. The votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year, Daniel Harford.
One vote to Hugh McCluggage. He was magnificent. He had 4 inside 50s in the first quarter, helped set things up. Ended up with 34 disposals. 14 of those contested, 8 clearances, 7 tackles, 6 inside 50s, and he was a fabulous player for the Brisbane Lions. Tonight too, to Lachie Neale. I kept harping on about how clean they were, the Brisbane Lions, and how good they were in tight to get the ball from inside to out, and he was the general there. He's a wizard. I love him. 36 disposals, 20 contested, 12 clearances, 2 inside 50s, and I thought he was just magnificent tonight and led them. Just got the game on the Brisbane Lions' terms through his work at ground level. And then 3 votes to the big fella up front who kicked 6. I don't think we can dispute that his influence in the game was absolutely profound. Logan Morris, and deserving of the 3 votes tonight. Ended up with 14 disposals for those players. 8 contested possessions, 6 marks, 6 snags for the big key forward.
3 to Morris, 2 to Neale, 1 to Hugh McCluggage. Thank you, Berkey. Thank you, Half.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks to Poppy. Thanks to Stu Birchmore. And, of course, to Jonesy back at base. We'll be on air from midday tomorrow for AFL Sunday with myself and Cameron Ling. And Half, I'll see you down the highway as we travel for Geelong and Port Adelaide. Good night.
Is just like regular breakfast.
It's lovingly prepared, relaxed, and ready when you are.
Watch ABC News Breakfast, the perfect start to your day. 6 a.m. weekdays on ABC TV and ABC iView.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of netball.
Now, in 2000, a group of women got together and put together a footy team, and they wanted to go and play at the National Championships in Canberra. It was the middle of the year. It was freezing cold. Nat Seaman has been in town trying to chase up some of the players, and she's been looking everywhere for them. She's got